The fuck? Oh, that's why. Okay, I forgot I made electrolyte. Oh boy, okay, alright. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the stream, welcome back to the VOD. Good morning, hello, welcome. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Ooh, boy, we got a good stream today. I am excited. I'm tingly with anticipation. Is that the right way to word it? Is that like some Spider-Man shit? I don't know, man. Either way, good to see you guys. Good morning, Cass. Good morning, Anna, over at YouTube chat. Good to see you guys. Good morning, Atari. How you doing? Good morning, Logan. What's up? Good morning, Alf. Good morning, Sabine. Sabine, make you proud today, all right? I'm gonna make you proud today. What's up, Pumpkin Pie? Good morning to you too, my friend. Hello. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. One and all, it is indeed Friday. It is also the day after D&D Day, which is yesterday. And I am pleased to report that we did not get TPK'd. However, there's a little drama in my D&D game. A little issue. A little drama to complain about. You see, my DM, as I have humbly taken off the mantle for this game, given the baton to Ashy to allow Ashy the distinct honor of DMing a game for me for the summer, which is coming to its conclusion. I'm very sad about that. I've enjoyed playing D&D with her and Vixie and Ulner and Ella, but Ashy wants to change up the game a little bit. Here's the drama. The drama is Ashy, for the next iteration of the campaign, would like to switch from Dungeons and Dragons. Ready? To draw steel. And you know what? I have opinions about this because, to be honest, I've looked into Daggerheart now personally. I've talked to a lot of people. We've had a lot of conversations, people have told me things about Daggerheart. I've watched some Daggerheart being played. I've listened to some tutorials, some rules, some whatever. And I think Daggerheart is genuinely a beautiful game from a combat standpoint, from a mechanic standpoint. Daggerheart as a narrative game is not meant for me, even in the slightest. And I'm okay with that. I still love Darrington Press. I'm still going to support it. I still want to buy the Daggerheart book to do my part to support the project and vote with your wallet, you know, and I want to support Daggerheart. Will I play a Daggerheart campaign? Who knows, but it doesn't look like it's for me. Draw Steel, on the other hand, Jesus!
Coming, did you?
Mel!
Oops, I hit the button.
What do you mean you hit the button?
Hey there, bud.
You put an
How
extra
you
zero in there. You can't just cheer 1,000 bits this early in the morning. Fuck, man. What's up, Mel? How you doing? Thanks for 1,000 bits. I knew it looked productive in here. Game designer, master, dungeon master, adventure writer, extraordinaire. Thanks for 1,000 bits, Mel. What a way to make my morning. Holy shit, bro. I appreciate that. Thanks, dude. I hope you're doing well. I don't know what I did to deserve that, but I can't possibly understand it, but I will still be honored and say thank you all the same. Hold on, let me catch up in chat real quick. I don't want to miss anything. Did I say hi to you, Atari? I hope I did. In any of your opinions, wait, what is the most underrated D&D class?
In
the
your honor,
Paladin.
I finally made a cat girl on Fxif.
The
Thanks for nothing.
What do you mean you made a cat girl in Final Fantasy 14 in my honor, Jason? I am a Lalafell, okay? I'm FBI, not Weebs. God damn it. Oh, Jesus, dude. That's, bro, I don't see the Founder's Badge that often, okay? That gets me emotional. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you for the Prime. Thank you for considering me your Prime option this month. I appreciate it, bro. Seriously, that's extremely generous of you. I'm always honored to see you, Jason.
Well,
it's seriously, it means the world to me.
now.
Yep.
How are we doing?
Yep.
I'm in corporate hell, sadly, and
Yep.
shut up, you earned it.
All right.
Ivan
All right. I'm
Hart.
sorry. All right. All right. All right. Listen. I'm good. I'm good because as I was saying, I don't want to interrupt the complaining for people who are invested in it. We'll be looking at Draw Steel. That's right. Ashley wants to play Draw Steel. And you know what? The more I look into it, the more I think this game might be for me. So there's a non-zero chance that I port Horizon into Drawsteel and Daggerheart when the adventure is finished, completed, released, whatever, iterated upon. So sometime in a year or so, once any like other future iterations of it are complete. Because I might be playing Drawsteel and getting a chance to play the system for a little while, which is a good thing, you know. It's one of the reasons why I like playing as a player once in a while, is because then I get to play in different systems. And so I thought that I'd play Pathfinder 2nd Edition at some point in time, and it's amazing that I'll get to play Drawsteel and or Daggerheart before I play Pathfinder 2E. But yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. We looked at some classes stuff. We didn't really do a lot last night in D&D. We kind of set up some things or whatever, yapped a whole lot, but talked about mechanics and systems and whatnot. And Drawsteel looks pretty good, not gonna lie. Looks kind of rad. So I don't know, man. We might be doing some cool stuff. But today is a very special day. All right, today I am over the moon. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. Why? Because I get to do some development for the Realms of Eldara. That's right. That's right. Ancient EBA viewers, like I'm number one, would know that since the dawn of time, since the beginning of the beginning, since the hymn of the Maiar and the Valar and the chorus of Eru Iluvatar sung Middle Evan into existence, I have been developing things for Eldara. And I've taken a break from it a little bit to develop the adventure, you know, to not do so much world building, to develop some more interactive game, this kind of stuff. And I've also taken breaks to do some commissions and requests and big projects and little projects. But today we finally returned to some decent ass world building, which I might actually make a tradition on Fridays, because I added onto my coffee, the idea was floated to me to sponsor projects in Eldara. Why would anyone want to do that? That's dumb. And then Aduria said, not dumb, you're dumb. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, man. And then Mel said, not dumb, you're dumb. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. And they both sponsored projects for the Realms of Eldara. And more people asked, hey, that seems fun. How do I sponsor a project for Realms of Eldara? I'm like, why would you want to pay a commission slot to me to do world building for Eldara? And they're like, because fuck you, Evan. And I said, okay, fine, I'm sorry. So I made a sponsorship thing, an official sponsorship on Coffee, where you can, where you can support a project, sponsor it. And a number of people did. Steve did, Azalea did, Sabine did, Cobalt did. Anyone else on Coffee? If you did, I missed you. I'm sorry. And that's awesome. So I give people an opportunity to say, hey, what's the thing you want to point me at and have me develop for Eldara? And so the peerless Sabine, one of my absolute favorite clients that I've enjoyed working for, a complete delight of a human, probably one of the fastest earned VIP badges in this channel of all time. Sabine said, Evan, I want you to develop the Azael. I want you to develop the Azael. And I said, okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right. I will. Okay. Fine. And so the Azael will be a player option. A race/species, depending on what edition of D&D you're playing, that you can play. That you can choose. They are merfolk. Merfolk of the Shattered Sea, known as the Azael. They possess powerful magics, inherent, built directly into their scales, evolved for within the Shattered Sea, as the Shattered Sea sundered in eons past. Much of the inhabitants were lost in a cataclysmic event that destroyed the Shattered Sea. However, those who survived adapted. Much of the sea life was also penetrated by these sky shards in their scales and their blood and their bones. And as the sky shards lifted and hefted great swaths of land into the sky, forming an ocean of cloud dotted with glimmering islands, with golden sand dunes, deep forests, jungles, and all sorts of landscapes. Surrounding them, small little flocks and schools of sea creatures began to take flight as well, adapting to the magical conclusion of the Aldarian Empire. Holy shit, what a way to go out. But so too did the survivors of the Azael. That's right. The ancient merfolk that slumbered beneath the waves, coming up to trade and do business and share lore of the ancient world's past. In the middle of the...
friends as encouragement for their projects. Good one, Evandelhart.
Thanks for that, Bitsman. I appreciate it. Thank you. The Azael also adapted to this new landscape. And they also, with a very similar genetic makeup to fish, also had the sky shards embedded in them as they lived under the waves for generations. They also had this flight magic ingrained in their very being. So in the Shattered Sea, the Azael, the merfolk, have a flight speed. They can just fly from one island to another. Now they still live underwater, but Evan, the Shattered Sea is a cloud ocean. How do they live underwater? Great fucking question. When the Shattered Sea sundered, and these large bodies of water began to collect around little islands of floating rock and debris, these sky lakes formed. Sky lakes that are the size of anywhere between small ponds to massive, almost sea-like deposits of water, floating in these baubles, surrounding little chunks of island and rock, coral, everything in between. The Azael built their cities in these sky lakes. And so, if you are in the Shattered Sea, you can fly from one island to another, and occasionally you'll see a little bauble of water just sort of drifting through the clouds. Now, you don't want to get caught in one of these bubbles of water, because you best be able to breathe underwater. Like, you know, surface tension's a bitch. But the Azael call these little bubbles of water home. They build their grand cities. They have adapted to being an underwater people in the sky. So, the Azael in the Shattered Sea have a flight speed. You can just fly in the Shattered Sea. Fly between island to island. You don't need to be underwater, anything like that. When you are outside of the Shattered Sea, the persistent magical effect of the sky shard dust in your scales, in your blood, in your bones, does still give you some levels of this anti-gravitation levitation magic. So outside of the Shattered Sea, Azael can just float. They can float above the ground, you know, hover. And just they kind of swim along as they're going, like they swim through the air. They can't fly because the magic is less potent as it is in the Shattered Sea. But in the Shattered Sea, they just have a flight speed. Obviously, all of the 4th Ed players hearing this say, Evan, that's unfair. Why do you think that it's fair to just give one race/species the ability to fly in the Shattered Sea? How is that balanced against my dwarf, against my tabaxi? There's no tabaxi in Eldara, come on. Against my Nyathar or Rokari or Geminos. And to the critics I say, get bent. I like my flying merfolk. Vixen, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Good to have you. So we're going to be doing some development for the Shattered Sea for the Azael. This project that Sabine has sponsored is intended to be the base levels of concept art and development required to be able to create sort of a entry in the Codex Eldarica to in the Codex Eldarica, which is its name for today, for the option of playing and creating an Azael. So we need to do some art for the concepts. Sabine floated the idea of having a couple things like hairstyles, clothing styles, cultural things like that. Really good concept art ideas from Sabine to kind of develop out the Azael a little bit. So that you know what you're kind of getting when you create your own Azael, as well as I really want to do one grand sort of title piece. I don't think it's this, because this is an Azael I did for a little while ago for a different project. This is a character, one specific character. Her name is Narya of Ithra Athari, and Ithra Athari is the name of the seat of Azael power. It is the seat of the palace. It is the place in which the political powers of the Azael congregate, the royal family, royal families, and trade of all kinds happens. So maybe we do a piece of art of Ithra Athari as well. Maybe we do some other things, but I really want to have, for all of the different Eldarin race species that you can be, I really want there to be more or less something that has like a character selection screen.
Name is too complicated. Just call her Flo.
You know what? We'll keep that one in the chamber, Moose. I appreciate it. That's a great idea. Why don't you do a write-up on that? And we'll definitely add that to the stack. Yeah, thanks for 100 bits. I appreciate it. Thanks, Moose. So I really want to have like a character selection screen type thing. You know, when you play like an old JRPG or something like that, or an old MMO, there's kind of like there's a great piece of art of like in Final Fantasy 14 or whatever, you know, of your sort of like male, female, whatever, standing two different classes. Like I really want to have something like that, like a graphic thing of two different Azael kind of being there doing whatever, and format all of them so that I can kind of create different screens of them to have the text in one side. So I'm formatting it as if it's like pages. So I think we might try and do that piece of art as well. So might do the male female kind of thing. A lot of the inspiration comes from a book actually that I have for that. The book is the book okay, right here. Yeah. So this is the it is this piece of art right here. So I love this piece of art because this is the night elf. Maybe I can find it in the book. This is the night elf sort of like race selection screen art, whatever. And I like the vibe of it. And so I really want to do that kind of thing. Or like in Final Fantasy 14, if you played and create a character, there's also a selection screen where you have like the Heidelins or whoever, and you have the kind of the male female standing there, sort of video gamey. And I think I want to do that for Eldara, so that's what we're going to base it off of, is that kind of vibe. So we might create that piece of art and try and figure out the format for the entire thing, so we can just apply that format to the Rokari, to the Elvari, to the Geminos, to whatever. Because we didn't do that with Aduria's Geminos piece. Aduria wanted a specific piece for the Geminos of their hunters for the north, but we didn't actually do the piece that's like sort of useful for the book and future Eldara publications. So we're going to start that with the Azael, all right? What's up, Ernesto? Happy Friday to you too. There's your cat people, dog people, and snowflings. Yeah, well, there's no dog folk in the realms of Eldara. What are you talking about? That never happened. Weird. It's a weird thing to pretend happened. I don't know, man. You're American, can't write Canadian. Thankfully, Moose, in Canada, we speak American. If you ask Canadian youth, they don't even put the British U in any of our words, except for some reason, glamour, which you guys still use the British U in there for. You know? I don't know why, man. You guys are crazy down there. We had two leading contenders for the Ancient Annals of Eldar, the Codex Eldarica, and the Eldarillion, voting to commence soon. Yes, the Eldarillion. Like WoW's mosaic of all the racial leaders, but with character options, kind of. Yeah, that's Tyrion Tyrion, Tyrande and Malfurion on the cover there. How do I go about doing the sponsorship commission? So in Coffee, I'm not sure if I have any slots open right now, but I might. I think I opened a couple. There is a section on my Coffee which is the place where I take requests, not full commissions. But yeah, right here. So it is. It is this option right here because I have like my anime character designs, location sketches, character portrait sketches. Oh fuck! I thought I increased the price of that shit. Anyway. So up here is the sponsor a small Eldara project. I don't have a sponsor a big Eldara project up yet because I wasn't sure how much to charge for something like a giant painting, but I want to add like big Eldara projects because there's about 3 or 4 of them. And so you can take from the list. I need to update the list because a bunch of these options are taken and I want to add them in, or add in like new choices, like complete the list. I just did this list on stream one day. Or you can dealer's choice it, and this is something that people can ask me about for like, hey, here's a thing that you talked about on stream, you know, a couple years ago. That's some random arbitrary small thing that I would really like to see developed out more for Eldara. And so if you're going to dealer's choice, I always say, please message me first, because sometimes some people have said things like, oh, dealer's choice, that means I can get you to add this or that thing specifically into the world. And it's like, if that doesn't fit anymore, if the lore has changed. So I have a list of things down here, but yeah, that's where it is for now. I will add in this weekend a more comprehensive list for future projects going forward, and then I will also add in the large Eldara project, and it's going to be a substantial like commission. Like we're talking like big fucking painting, whatever bullshit, all that in there. So like $50 for handmade painting. It'd be a lot for handmade painting. The Mithara are the kind of the ancients of ancients. They are the Sylvan moth folk that I've done some art for, that are considered to kind of be the eldest of the children of Eldara. So they're like, I've only done a couple pieces of art for them, and I've referenced the Mithara. But any Mithara development, by the way, just real quick, the Mithara development will be mythologically like geared in there. It'll be mostly for myth and legend, not for player options. Excuse me. So the Mithara are a bit of a different one. Not sure, you may have it or may have an idea for a cool idea. If I can ask something right now to see if it's even a thing in Eldara. Sure, you can. Yeah, for sure. You can pose a question. I don't mind. Also have an artist choice option. You get to pick what you feel like. That's a good point. You know what? I'm gonna add that right now because I can add that real quick. Edit. For the guild members that just want to see something come to life. Okay, good idea. Save changes. All right, sick. Comment note, dog people are the Inaku. I don't know what you're talking about. That's apocryphal heresy at this point in time. What do you mean the Inaku? That sounds like something I wouldn't say. Is this galactic sewer carp, or sorry, cosmic sewer carp propaganda? Is that it? Is that I don't know, man. What are we doing today? We are doing some concept art for the Azael, which is great. I wish hop right English. Dude, you're the fact that English is not your first language and you still watch the stream is you're doing just fine, all right? I can always usually make sense of your chats. You're doing just fine. Don't worry about it. But it's a note. It's recorded in the Encyclopedia Eldarica. No, it isn't. The Encyclopedia Eldarica is the back of my hand that I've written stuff on. You know, I have a sealed letter in my possession in a very safe place. Actually, not even on my premises. There's a sealed letter that I own that is somewhere very safe. Safe from thieving eyes, safe from the elements, safe from the wild things, that has some of the secrets of Eldara written in them. Written in therefore are the secrets of the deepest secrets of Eldara. The canon of canon, the legend of legend. The stories that ought not be spoken about. The ancient mysteries that are whispered only by wizards and hobbitses, or whatever, I don't know, man, something like that. Yeah. Currently, there's no official Encyclopedia Eldarica, but there will be soon. Okay, an elemental fire-based paladin-like folk, a group devoted to using flames to help others, akin to yield firefighters, but also using for combat ward against dark enemies like the Cinder Wardens or Order of the Living Flame. I'm not familiar with the Cinder Wardens or the Order of the Living Flame are. There is a sort of like divine flame type paladin order actually from Northmark. So they are all typically dwarven in name and in stature, but they sort of worship this like divine flame that warms the mountain and, you know, lights the dark areas. And there's like the small, like the pseudo religion amongst the dwarves in Stonemark. It's a Rith religion about sort of the light beating back the darkness. There is darkness under the mountain that is so dark that not even torchlight or candle or lantern pierces it. It's actually pretty gnarly. It's kind of like these shadow pools that fill up ancient mine shafts. A consuming dark shadow. And so there are these paladins that sort of believe in flame and light. And yeah, they're dope ass order of dwarven paladins up there in Northmark. So not quite maybe exactly what you're looking at, but there is something that exists in there. So almost like the Nameless Dark in Lord of the Rings. I'm not for like, isn't that an entity specifically? I could be wrong. My expanded Lord of the Rings knowledge is not where it should be, and I'm rectifying that by sort of going back and reading Unfinished Tales, Silmarillion, Fall of Gondolin, Children of Húrin. I'm doing that all hopefully before the end of the year. I've started reading a very, very nice copy of Silmarillion that Ella bought me. And it's been galvanizing my amount of middle finger to the general D&D community and having me build blunted world building for the sake of playing D&D in it, as opposed to using D&D as a tool for world building. So yeah, I'm still I'm still catching up. The cannon fires orbs. Okay, listen. Just because it's an Orbathon doesn't mean you can. Yeah, wait. Eldritch darkness that even Gandalf refuses to speak on. Oh, kind of. Then I guess. Well, there are. If that's like what's so. There are things like that Gandalf that are sort of ageless entities that are predate sort of the founding of the mortal races on Arador. Is that the name of the world that the Middle Earth is? Arda. Yeah. And so Teleria has something similar, but rather than being a specific singular eldritch sort of darkness, it is so there is a deep dwelling within the world that dark things have been hiding in. Okay, hold on. How do I word this? I don't want to. So this is getting really close to big plot point spoilers that I don't want to. Okay, here, I'll word it like this. The Kraken are beasts of immense size and are all inherently birthed of darkness. They are evil. They are mythologically the natural predator, hunting or prey. Prey and opposite of the ancient dragons. And the Kraken are part of a group of dark creatures that were said to be in Teleria since before Teleria's founding. But there's an implication in that lore that I've written that there are other things beyond just Kraken in the deepest, darkest places of the world that were there before the elves, who were the first recorded like record keepers of Teleria, but don't forget that the Elvari, when they arrived to Teleria, because they tell a myth of arriving, not sprouting or coming from. They arrived in Teleria. The elves basically write as if they are the first ones to sort of traverse the land, because they kind of are. They were the first ones to map the east and map the west and go north and south. They were the first ones to explore and build in Teleria. However, the elves do, as a little footnote, admit that the Mithara were there before them.
Visitors.
So
exciting.
Yeah. What's up, Say? Good to see you, bro. How's it going, man? Thanks for the raid, Say. I appreciate it. Good morning. Good to have you. Guys, go follow Say. Say's amazing. Say's often my pre-stream warm-up hangout grounds. So, go show some love there. So yeah. So when and I think it's important to have something like that and not to talk about it too much. There was, let me get my book. There's a really interesting quote in the Silmarillion I want to read you. Let me read you this actually real quick. One sec. Okay. Found it. So this is my extraordinarily nice and prohibitively expensive copy of the Silmarillion that Ella bought me recently. So, in the first letter he writes, he says something very interesting. So he's writing this letter to, I think, an editor of a magazine who asked him about some questions, and it's pretty early on. Let me try and find it. It's in the first couple pages here. He talks about... Is this it? He talks about one of the Maiar, or the Valar. God, this is so on point for what we're talking about. Well, I don't want to try too hard to find the exact quote. So, anyway. He talks about basically about how there was an allusion to a time that was long before the first sort of like elves descended upon the world. And I talked about whatever the sort of Valar goddess of nature and shit like that, how she would sort of walk this place before the light of the trees and all this stuff. But even before she did that, there was sort of like dark and ancient secret evil things dwelling beneath the world. And I like that because it's based off of an old sort of like myth or idea, one of those sort of like Jungian psychological ideas of there being sort of dark things deep in the dwellings of the world. That's like not a Tolkien idea, that's an ancient idea, which is very cool. And that's why you see recur a lot in fantasy. It's one of those things that you aren't simply referencing itself by having it in. You're not referencing Tolkien or itself, you're referencing an old idea. One of those good things that we don't need to discard, that we can pull into our own fantasy without feeling like we're sort of being reductive and self-referential. But in that, there's sort of this idea that like it inspires a bit of courage to have mystery in your world. And I think this is one of the problems that comes with doing world building on stream, or doing world building publicly, or writing your book in front of people with the opportunity to have like a lot of feedback as you're doing it. And a trap that people run into doing that or playing D&D with your world is you often have a lot of DMs and people who play your book or play your adventure pestering you for answers to every little question. And I think it takes a lot of like restraint to be able to, and I'm trying to develop this. I'm not very good at it yet, but I'm better than I was a year ago, of saying once in a while, oh, that's a mystery. And then people will like hit you with the like, okay, but like, how does it work? I'm the DM. I have to know how this works. I have to be able to tell my players, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. People just want to know. And they'll use other reasons to sort of like justify their curiosity. And you still have to say, I don't know. You don't know. It's a mystery. And even beyond that, then people will say things like, they'll start accusing you, like, well, that's bad world building. You don't have answers and reasons. It's being magicked away. Deus ex machina, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's very important to have mystery that is poorly defined, because it's funny. You'll have the same person say, well, I need to know how this works, because if you don't tell me it, then you haven't thought it through. And if you haven't thought it through, it's not good world building. It's not, you know, you'll have one person say that. But then that same person, maybe 6 months later in stream, will say something like, wow, George Lucas really messed up when he made Metachlorians. The Force was so much better when it was a mystical, unknown force field that life creates. And you're like, didn't you just say that you need to have an explanation down to the very minute detail for everything that you have in your world? Otherwise, it's bad world building. Oh, so there's value to mystery and poorly understood mysticism in your world. Holy shit, could you believe that? And when I read that like quote or passage or whatever, I was kind of like, yeah, you know what? They can get bed. They can get fucked. I don't care, man. I'm not, you know, I'm happy to have mystery. And so there are gonna be things like that I'm not going to like really define or whatever, or the payoff to the story is understanding or unfolding the mystery. One of the biggest ones is people saying, well, what is Eldara? And I won't tell you. I will not. I'll tell you what the elves say it is. I'll tell you their history of what they think Eldara is. I will tell you what the dwarves say Eldara is. So when people ask questions, I'm getting better at saying, who are you asking? Like, I'm asking you. I'm like, well, I'm everybody in the world. Who are you asking? Are you asking the Dwarven Innkeeper? Are you asking the Elvish Archivist? And people will have to be like, oh, well, I'm asking, I guess, the Elvish Archivist. I'm like, oh, okay, the elves say this. And then people are like, wait, what does the Dwarven Innkeeper say? I'm like, well, he says this. Like, but those are different, Evan. That's inconsistent world building. Is it? Mm-hmm. Tolkien had quite a few outsider entities. It isn't clear if the nameless things predate the music of Eru Iluvatar or Ungoliant or like Ungoliant or Tom. Good point, actually. I actually don't know the full story of the origin of Ungoliant. I'm not sure if Melkor found Ungoliant or if Melkor created Ungoliant. Because I thought that if you asked me what Ungoliant was, I would have said I think Ungoliant was a Maiar, right? Jesus, Mel.
Did you?
What the fuck?
Another press of the button. Oopsies, Ivan.
There's too many bits. What the hell, dude?
I are going to see some houses. Catch you later, bye.
Jeez, man. Holy shit, I don't deserve that, Mel. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you, Mel. I'm honored. Good luck in the hunting. I hope it goes well. Please find a place with an adequate enough library for you to keep your collection of Eldara encyclopedias in the future. Good luck, Mel. Thanks for the 1,000 bits again, and I will see you later. Have a great weekend. But sure, what's up, dude? At a moment in one game, I was running. I told my players when they asked about it at an in-game library, Lore of Nations, but they later are a different library, another nation. I gave them different lore on accident. That's really funny, actually. Yeah, because it's also true and consistent, right? Or giving poor mysteries lets DMs treat it how they want in their games too. Sure, yeah. Doesn't seem as hefty. Well, this copy of the Silmarillion Art Fuse is it's like a fancy one that has a whole bunch of like Tolkien's illustrations in it and stuff. This is the second edition. So the second edition is every Silmarillion published past 1999, because there's a foreword in here from Christopher Tolkien that he came from the 1977 edition of the Silmarillion, and then he has a second one in here that says, you know, Chris Tolkien 1999, which he basically talks about more revisions made. So this is the same Silmarillion that's been out for the last 26 years, but it's just this one has a lot of like art and illustrations, like these are illustrations that Tolkien, you know, I think this is Gondolin. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else extra in here. It might just be thicker pages, fancier, nicer, whatever. This was a very expensive version of the book because Ella really wanted me to have a nice fancy version of it for our library. So yeah, it comes in like a cool case and comes with a whole bunch of other, like there's like a whole bunch of inserts of like maps and things like that I don't want to open up right now and show off. But they're there. Ras Raiders, what's up, dude? Merfolk, yes, today is a Merfolk design day. So, Davior, good to see you, my friend. What's up, dude? Different people have different views of the same thing. What kind of insanity is this? I know. Well, the problem is that it's not just like as easy or self-evident to say like, oh, well, of course people have different views. I found a lot of people have. I used to get really annoyed by their impatience, but I think that their impatience is actually a good sign. Because when people want to know something desperately, that means that I have a good story, right? The problem is that when I don't give them that, like when people want to know something desperately and they're like, well, asking me, pestering me about how this works. The problem is people will sometimes have that like really like hunger to know something, which is very flattering, but it'll manifest and turn it into a kind of an insulting mad, like, well, why aren't you telling me? You know, why are you trying to hide this? Like, why? Oh God, Evan's such an ass. Like I've had that happen a lot. And been kind of bullied into like trying to defend or like I call it stun locking now. Like I get stun locked sometimes by somebody who asks lore questions, and I have to be very good about at a certain point and being like, you know what, you don't know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It works like that. But the thing is, I think that like magicking away too many things or mysterying away too many things is lazy, and bad world building and bad story writing and bad myth telling and whatnot. And it's a currency you have to use. Right, you know, like for the example I always sort of like go back to my brain is when people want to magic away something. I disagree with both sides. When somebody says like, oh well, it's a magical world, and in a magical world like gnomes can have like the strength to wield hammers, it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's not believable. Gut check, you don't buy it, right? And so you can't just say, well, in a magic world where fireball exists, then I should have my 3'2" gnome, who's a non-magical entity, be able to wield a 300-pound hammer. And you're like, nah, I don't agree with that. But then you have people saying things like, well, how does this work? Well, you need a system of Brandon Sanderson level scientific magic to be able to understand how the mysticism of the world works. And you're like, yeah, I don't believe in that either. You know, I think that you should and can and should magic away certain things or mystery away certain things narratively, but I think you have to be very careful about it because it's a resource that you can spend wisely, and if you don't spend it wisely, it comes off as lame and all those things that people accuse you of. But when you spend it wisely, it enhances the story, I think. And I think that a lot of people get it wrong, right? So the idea of dragons is a great one. Dragons need bulky wings. They need muscular structure and bulk to them that makes them look like they are powerful beasts that can fly. But Evan, a dragon's wingspan would have to be 400 feet to lift it off the ground. And you're like, yeah, we can magic away part of the wingspan, but you can't have the little like stick wings that you get in other dragons, because then you look at that, you're like, I don't believe that wing could like fly. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. It's lame. And then people say, well, they're magical creatures, so they can fly with like stick wings if they want to. And again, you have people who are irresponsibly lazy on one side, trying to magic away stick wings when everyone sees it and no one buys it. And then you have the other side where dragon wings need to be 400 feet wide. So it's like both sides are stupid. And often you'll criticize one side, you know, critique one side, and then people on the other side are like, yeah, stick wings. And you're like, no, no, I don't agree with you either. Hold on. I also disagree with you. Let me finish so I can have both of you guys mad at me. That's very important, I think, you know. A weapon formed by goddesses, weapon drawn by our own Evan, and its history is very not determined. The goddess worshipped mainly by humans, but was only story about the weapon that comes from the elves. Interesting. I like that. I like that. Do merfolk go better as sushi when battered or served with tartar sauce? That's a little grim. No, there's no eating of the merfolk. What the fuck, man? Jesus, okay. Reminds me loosely of the rules in sci-fi. I don't know what the rules in sci-fi are. I'd hopefully never find a rule in sci-fi. Some sci-fi media adheres to harder reality than others. Sure, yeah. It's the amount of like how much do you magic away in science fiction? You know, I think that when you magic away something in science fiction, it's best to magic things away from a standpoint of conveniences that fill holes and gaps in the science. I think that's a great way of having it, right? Like dilithium in Star Trek. Great way of magicking away, you know, or sciencing away the magic, or magicking away the holes in the science. I don't know. Somewhere in that realm, though, right? So, she's supporting of fat dragons then, Evan? Nope. Still don't like the D&D movie. Still don't like the D&D movie, but the Speak with Dead scene was funny, so... Why the Dragons film has fun dragon physics. Sure, and I mean, like, that's the thing, is like trying to overthink dragons too much is lazy, or is irresponsible and dumb, and underthinking dragons is lazy. So you need to thread the needle right in the middle of the gap. So, where does it leave us for our merfolk? So the Azael. The Azael are going to be probably one of the older, longer lived races of Teleria. So they will have a history that dates back further than the Eldarians. So in the ancient Eldarian story, who were the people who more or less unified the inner sea warring nations that was the Shattered Sea pre-sundering, the Eldarian Empire, which unified that entire group, they arrived on the shores of the inner sea, and the Azael were already there. So the Azael didn't keep and don't have a long recorded history. They have a little bit of myth and a little bit of legend and a little bit of story from before the Sundering, but the Azael unfortunately have this kind of identity of basically restarting their civilization when the sea sundered. So the Shattered Sea sundered. The Eldarians were basically all lost. Well, the Azael, they only lived in the Shattered Sea. So their population dwindled from however big the cities were all the way down to the thousands. So the Azael are still in some ways uncommon and trying to sort of like restart their civilizations a thousand years later or whatever. So they're going to have kind of a unique identity, but I want there to also be a bit of a mystery behind them, because they are also weirdly record keepers. They are record keepers because they got very good at writing shit down in a permanent way, because they basically lost everything. Now, they didn't lose everything to fire or whatever, because, you know, that's when it happens when you're underwater. But their libraries, their information, their stories was destroyed. So a lot of their sort of prehistory is myth only, and they treat it like myth. They don't treat it like a history. So if you ask an average Azael, like, where did you come from? They're like, oh, we have this myth about how we were, you know, born into the sea from light, that shone into the depths, and our consciousness was born, and from it was whatever, and we swam into the deep parts of the ocean. They'll have like a myth, but it's not like a myth they believe in, right? The elves, if you ask the Elvari where they came from, the Elvari are like, well, we came through that gate. And you're like, okay, where'd you come from through the gate? And most Elvari actually don't really know at that point where they came from through said gate. For a lot of the Elvari, is that's when it becomes myth. They're like, I don't know. But some of them do actually know specifically, right? They have a full record that goes back a lot further than I've ever talked about for Teleria and the realms of Eldara. Now, again, the Mithara, they have the longest sort of like, they were already there as well. So the Elvari were basically the recorded beginning of history. They were the Elvari arriving in Teleria was the beginning of an age. And we know that people sort of like arrived in Teleria because they all have a similar story. The humans, the Rith, they both have a story of arriving within Teleria in the Elvish lands. So they arrived to their Elvari hosts, which welcomed them and told them of places that they could go far beyond the Elvari border. There was some intent to expect or anticipate them. It wasn't like, who are these strange people? All right, go the fuck out of here. Whereas the Geminos, they also have a story of arriving, but a much more recent story. And the more recent the story, the more catastrophic the arrival onto Teleria, or the more like tumultuous the arrival would be. So the Nyathar and the Geminos, who are some of the most recent additions to Teleria, and then it coincides with history from the Elvari and from the humans. Like, one day the Geminos appeared, they arrived into the land, but no one really knows how people were arriving into the lands now these days. At least they don't in the Western continent, not where you guys are playing the game right now. So the Azael, they kind of have a restart to their civilization. They have some really old stories. So I kind of want to weave a little bit of that into there. Like, they have a bit of a kind of mystical origin to them. But again, they like for instance, the Azael and the Mithara are the only two people in Teleria that the Elvari don't have a record of them arriving. They didn't come to the world, that they were already there in some form. It's just kind of skipped over as a bit of a note. Like, it's like not an important enough note that the age that we're in doesn't still start with the elves. And it's considered to be the arrivals of the first ones to the world, even though there were technically other people there, at some point. So, yeah. They suffer the flood in their archives. No, their archives are underwater. What are you talking about? Pfft, stupid. There's flood in an archive that's underwater? What are you talking about? What the fuck, man? Pfft, wait, what? What do you mean? Bro, I said it was under the ocean. So yeah, as far as what I want to do, what I want to achieve with this iteration of the project is I want to have a comprehensive amount of concept art. The Azael, or the Mithara and Azael, were not transformed proto-elves. The proto-elf origin of Elvari and a lot of the other sort of races of the world is not a well-known, is on Teleria an unknown. They don't know that happened, that there was that cycle of the Eldari that have these proto-elves. That is weird. Like, it's weirdly, that's like a thing that if you're on Teleria only, you don't know how that whole thing happened. But if you're elsewhere in Eldara, in places that we haven't even developed yet, or that I've never talked about on stream, that is an accepted origin point. So that would be even maybe news to some of the Elvari, that's what happened, or the Mithara, who knows. So the connection there, sort of with the lineage, the family tree of the Eldari, at a certain point, it's kind of like You don't know where all the cousins came from. You don't know that they share one relative or one ancestor. You just know that they are kind of like, you're all here and now you're all old, right? That's like kind of the vibe of it. So that's not necessarily like that. That's more like out of game myth as opposed to understood in game. So like those dog people that live in the lonely valley, the Carps folk. Well, nothing about that game was canon, Nick. Like, don't make a mistake about that. Nothing about that game was canon. And I've made that very clear at the beginning that it was all sort of a fun story I was telling for Fishy. So no, if there's anything that happened, I might pull some of that out there and maybe we'll use some of the world building from there and take the things that I liked from that game and pull it in. But no, you gotta be able to disconnect that. You gotta read the fucking subtitle for the what was it called? The Path of Lumari. It's all canon. It is not all canon. If people start trying to spread that shit, I'm gonna have to fucking drop the hammer on them as to not to confuse the newer Dragon's Claim viewers. So memes made, but that's where I'm gonna kill it. Okay, the meme is now dead. I have executed it. The God of Eldar is a 15-year-old computer hacker named Kevin. Ah, I see. Well, you would know, I guess, right? God damn it, Kevin. Everything's a simulation. So I want to create the concept art for the basics of the cultural symbols, whatever, of the Azael. I want to create some of the different styles, different clothing, different whatever that they sort of take to. So you have cultural imagery to sort of build something off of and be able to kind of create an identity for them. But then on top of that, I want to create the main image that is used for the Azael. So I think we need to start with some seals and sigils. So I had a little bit of development previously. We might be able to reference some of it. What did I call it? Part of this is I want to standardize the... Hold on, let me make sure none of this is weird shit I fucking can't show or whatever, or some shit. I don't know what would be, but that's good. What is this? What is you? And this is more concept development. What is this shit? Oh, okay, this is ancient. Yeah, all right, we're good. So yeah, I don't like to open a lot of like old Photoshop files on computer when I don't know what, like, I was, I could, cause like I could at any point in time have been drawing like anatomy references or some shit, and hey, I can't show that kind of shit on stream when you're drawing figures, whatever, but wait, hold on. Oh no, we're good. Okay. Oops. Yeah, so we have a little bit of the Azael designs. So this was a little piece that I did of one of their little floating cities. So this I don't think would be Ithra Athari. It's not grand enough. It's not big enough. Now the Azael, like I said, they are not that many. So there's not a unreasonable amount of Azael just floating around the Shattered Sea. They're common in the Shattered Sea enough. Very rare outside the Shattered Sea, but you also don't see them everywhere. So we could do some more city designs, expand on these a little bit, actually maybe make a proper design for Ithra Athari. I kind of want them to have this look and feel of a lot of like hanging lanterns. So it's almost like I want the cities to be sort of like kind of like a mushroom shaped, so like a dome kind of like top, not like a dome as one giant dome, but like the overall silhouette to sort of be a dome. And then I want it to hang down with all these kind of like almost like a jellyfish with all these like sort of like different like neighborhoods and districts and stuff hanging off it, like jewels and lanterns and whatnot. I want it to be very ornate and beautiful, because obviously they don't need to contend with elements or anything when they're building their city. They can build their city with the intent of being almost like three-dimensionally accessible. If you think about like doors and roofs and things like that. So although there is a canonical up and down to the world and gravity, when you're in the water, you can navigate it a little bit better. So Want to do something like that and have like more of like this kind of thing, this kind of like hanging city type thing down here, as opposed to one singular like element just kind of hanging down the whole thing. So we'll do a little bit of that. We'll do some things like hairstyles, whatever, this and that. But I want to finalize like the imagery first and foremost of the Azael's like seals and what's the word? Inspired by Naboo. Well, the kind of that like the like there's a heavy sort of love for the kind of like Mediterranean, Italian kind of like that era of stuff for Novalia. So Novalia, you will see a lot of domes and arches because like I think that Theed is probably one of the most well-designed, beautiful cities in all of concept development for any project ever. And so Theed definitely has the like Naboo has a strong reference, like a love letter to oh my god, Craig whatever and Doug Chang, basically the concept artists, the designers that led a lot of the prequel stuff. But that's more Novalia. So a lot of the stuff that happens over here in the Loric Empire is less like Roman and more like kind of Scandinavian. But the Azael don't really track any of that. The Azael kind of like they sort of have a bit of a different vibe. Because they're not following any kind of like architectural elements of any of the imperial powers that sort of left their imprints everywhere. The empire, the Loric Empire, never reached the Azael. They basically were like, oh, there's some people underwater. All right, well, should we go try and tell them that they're now imperial citizens? All right, I guess not. All right, what are they gonna do? Cold-water navigation loosely reminds me of trying to navigate in space, although there's a lot of obvious differences. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Back to read the Guilfridge. Yeah, what's up, Penguin? How's it going, dude? There's so much cool knickknacks already. I have to go watch the VOD. Well, a lot of this is old stuff that I'm just sort of like referencing back that we're gonna sort of like develop off of. This is ancient stuff. So we're gonna this is where I left the Azael like I don't know, it's 2-3 years ago, maybe, Sabine. So we're gonna develop this forward and actually build something out of it. The one thing that I think I want to take almost in its entirety is the seal for the Azael. They're like kind of, like I need to find a almost in like a video gamey type fashion. I think there needs to be like a seal, a logo, some kind of like branding for each of the player options you can pick. So they need to have their own like crest or whatever. So I think that this is going to be the kind of the crest of the Azael. I don't know why, but oh yeah, because it has some loose Eldari references. So there's a lot of convenient references to Eldari rings that aren't necessarily obvious, I think, which is kind of fun because I get to build a mystery in plain sight, which is always fun. When I know the ending of a story that I get to build on stream a little bit and help construct the mystery, you know, piece by piece, it's actually kind of fun once in a while. I try to do that, like trying to debate too hard, but once in a while. So we're gonna grab a bunch of this and yoink it over to the Eldara sketchbook, which is where we're gonna keep everything for now, is in one document. So we're gonna yoink over everything that we have for the Azael. So we have their crest. Then we're gonna have this piece of Narya. So we have a reference point for, for what our current Azael looks like. We're going to have our this all one, there it is, okay. We're going to have the current sort of little concept piece doodads for the city that I had. And we're going to grab some stuff off this. So this is another thing that I was doing, which was the first Azael like piece that I wanted to draw, where I wanted to do like this kind of knight, like an Azael paladin. And I had this idea for this Azael paladin that I would draw two of them together. And I never finished it. But I still want to reference, I have two important things from here. I have this little ring thingy down here, this little wheel. Oops, wrong document. Okay. And then we also have our our paladin maiden with the cool ass tail going on there. Because for the Azael, also like tail development is going to be kind of a funny thing that we have to do. It's gonna be one of those like kind of customization things that'll be very different between each Azael. We're good with this. We don't. This also has some other things in here that we can yoink. So like this was the original sketch for Narya. And I hardly ever like have these sketches anymore because I used to not save the delete sketch layer. I do now, but whenever I create a sketch like this that I will erase as I'm sort of like rendering Limerick over it, I didn't always keep the delete sketches, but I did for this one for some reason. Or yeah, well, sorry, I didn't for this one, but I had it on it. The only reason I kept this is because I actually had it on one file that when I moved over, right? So this was kind of a meme of some of the different like Azael. Now, obviously, these aren't going to be like all useful or canon, but it's still. Keep in mind that one of the problems with doing concept development on stream is sometimes you draw something and people think it's like canon, and you're like, no, like none of these are canonical. Like maybe this one, maybe this is one canonical sort of tail style. But we were just like joking around and stuff and doing different designs of like fucking octopus and jellyfish and the blowfish and whatever this one was. I think it was a sunfish or something, which is kind of funny. But it's still useful to have that concept development because sometimes there's interesting ideas in there. So this is the original piece for Narya. I was eventually going to color it in, but I decided not to because of whatever reason. And then what was in here? In here was... Oh, that was this. That was the original design here. And then we have a background. Okay, cool. So we're good with this one too. So we've yoinked everything of use here onto one place. So now we can actually start doing some developments. We're going to smash all these into one layer, I think. We're going to call this the pre or early designs. So we have to treat this like a bit more of a formal project right now. I gotta like LARP as an actual professional here for a minute. We have to like catalog and categorize and organize everything so that I can sort of make use of finished concepts that I'll have. Like there's gonna be a difference, by the way, between concepts that we develop on stream and published concepts. And nothing is canon until it's published. Nothing is certain, and nothing is. And even then, I'm also going to give myself the opportunity to change things as I want. One thing that I've had like a bit of a problem with is this idea that once I create an idea and publish it in some way, or like write it down or display it, that it's just like it's forever. I'm stuck with that idea. But that's like strangulating in a way that I'm not interested in anymore. So even then, I'm still willing to change an idea later on if it means that it's a better idea. Like how I gave the Astronauts the ability to wear breastplates as well as their normal armor, because I think that it makes for more of a knightly appearance. Pauldrons, you might have to sell me on that one, but I'm entirely unconvinced of the pauldrons. It took me a lot to move and bend on the whole breastplate for the knights. So by the drawings, it looks like the fish body is 2 colors. The same color. Does it vary from group to group? I think that there will be the variety in Azael. I think cow is going to be drastic, because I think that the Azael are going to be one of those designs that I really want there to be a large variance in expressive coloration, design, whatever. So although they're going to have typically shades of black hair, all the Azael, they're going to typically have shades of black, so like more bluish, more reddish, maybe almost purpley. There's not going to be any blonde or white haired Azael or anything like that, except for the royal line, which has a different hair color and a different qualities about them physically. But regardless, but with past that, the expression of the coloration of an Azael's like scales, flesh, and fins is going to be as unique as butterfly wings, as far as I'm concerned. Like there's going to be a whole variation of them. There's no colors, there's no patterns, there's no fin styles that are going to be off the table for now. So Merfolk Warlock dripping in dark kelp. Yeah. Well, there's no warlocks in Eldara. Ooh. Oh shit. Oh god. Oh no, he said the thing. Except the orb. Yeah, okay. Probably missed this, but how do they move on land outside of the Shattered Sea? So, yeah, fair enough. So the Azael, because they have the kind of the sciencey explanation behind it is they have adapted to the Shattered Sea like every other aquatic life form has. So they can fly in the Shattered Sea, right? Not every aquatic life form can fly, but they can all float or something or live in that kind of environment. But the Azael can straight up fly in the Shattered Sea. Outside of the Shattered Sea, sky shards are still present in their sort of like levitation magic. It's still present, but it needs proximity to the Shattered Sea to really work. So if you have one, let's say, sky shard, whatever unit of sky shards is required to lift a small boat, you have one of those, you can fly in the Shattered Sea. When you leave the Shattered Sea, you'll slowly drift down and like, hit the water or whatever, and eventually you'll just be floating. You won't fly. The boat might be like several pounds lighter or 15% lighter than normally would be or whatever. It's kind of weird. But in order to have a sky ship fly out of the Shattered Sea and be able to fly around the rest of Teleria, you would need an ungodly expensive amount of sky shards. And so there's only a couple of airships that actually exist that can fly out of the sky shard or out of the Shattered Sea, and they're a whole other thing. But the Azael, because they have the sky shards present in their body, outside of the Shattered Sea, they just get a levitation speed. So they just have a land speed. They can more or less hover along the land, and that's kind of a bit of a solution of convenience, because the whole point, like, I was kind of agonizing over these Azael, thinking like, okay, but like, how do they leave the Shattered Sea? Like, do I even want them to leave the Shattered Sea? Is it okay to have a group of people that are basically stuck in one area of the world? Is it good for player things for D&D? No, but again, I don't care. D&D is a secondary function to Eldara, so what's better narratively? Should I have the Azael living the Shattered Sea only? But that night, I was playing League of Legends, back when I still played League of Legends, and I was playing Nami, who's a merfolk, a mermaid, and she's just like, she kind of like swims through the air as you move around the map, and there's no explanation for it. She can just swim through the air, and I was like, I kind of like that, though. That's kind of cool. I'm overthinking this. So outside the Shattered Sea, they can just kind of like hover. They can kind of like swim through whatever. And so it's not very common you find an Azael, but they can just kind of do that outside the Shattered Sea. So they have a regular movement speed. They don't have a flight speed or anything. But so your Azael character, when you leave the Shattered Sea, isn't just completely hamstrung. Not to worry. And that's not just a D&D character choice. That's also a narrative choice. I think stronger. So can change things up after publishing, right? And so I'm not going to be afraid of that. I'm not going to be beholden to that. Like, as much as it's annoying when people are like, oh, but this thing once happened, Evan, so it's canon. And it's like, you guys meme and you joke, and it's like, okay, it's funny the first time when somebody does it, but then the 17th person might not realize that the 17th person to make that joke in the last 30 days, and that's when it gets annoying. And that would like make me not want to like be angry about stuff. I'd be like, well, fuck, I need to have everything rock solid, whatever, so people can't meme on me about this, and I don't have to deal with their bullshit. I don't have to fucking ban people in my chat. But I realized, you know what? People are going to do that. People are going to be well-meaningly memeing on things, or people are going to be dumb sometimes too. So I'm not going to be afraid of changing things later, even if I have glasses adjusting, fucking fedora tipping nerds quoting me the way that I described something in 2019. And I'm like, yeah, I had a better idea, so I changed it. And I'm going to try and be a lot more okay with that. So I'm going to be, what that means is that I'm willing to put my like best design foot forward more confidently now, knowing that I don't need to sort of step in the exact right location. Otherwise I'm stepping on a landmine or whatever. There's certain things I can't undo, certain magical things, whatever, systems, world building, whatever, that I kind of can't undo, kind of the cosmology in some ways. Even then, I think that's still a limitation. But as far as like things like the Azael or whatever, no, I'm going to be fully like committing to it, full sending, so we get a great idea, rather than me like perfectionistically making sure that a lesser idea works 100% of the time. If you were transported to the world of D&D, Final Fantasy, WoW, or all fantasy games and had to make a perfect characters yourself, what would you choose? Wait, didn't you already ask that? I think I already. Wait, did somebody literally ask that question like this week already? Was it you, Mark? No way. Wait, what? I already answered that this week. I'm having deja vu. I'm having crazy deja vu. Wait, what? Somebody else asked that like almost exact question earlier this week, or hold up. Yeah, I'm going crazy. The airships that can leave the Shattered Sea have hulls made entirely of sky shards. No, they don't look much different than regular airships. There's only a couple too, and there's very specific examples, so they're kind of unique pieces on their own rather than being a uniform style or whatever. Galaxy reminds me of the Scared Sea loosely from Project Wingman, very loosely. What is Project Wingman? I'm not familiar. That doesn't ring any bells. Azael rogues must have great wall climbing ability. Well, they just don't. They just don't rogue, I guess. I don't know. Like your question about Astral Knights, there are no currently Azael Astral Knights. Yeah, because the Azael that practice the astral magics do it in more of a religious way, so they don't leave to join Great Sage Orders. And so there's no way to recruit the Azael. It's like how the Rith, there are very few Rith Astral Knights because they, again, don't recruit. The Astral Knights, the main orders that are sympathetic or understanding or complementary to the Astari are two orders that mostly have to do with Eastern Kingdom stuff, so Novalia and Ashasari. So the vast majority of Astral Knights are Novalian or Asarian, which means that they're either elf, twilight elf, human, or sometimes anyone else found in kind of that region. But that's mostly most of the Astral Knights. So there's not a ton of Geminos, although there are a couple. There's not a ton of Rith, although there are a couple. They're honestly mostly humans and Elvari, just because those two orders are like the oldest and most powerful of the like influential of the astral orders. So they're the ones that have the most opportunity for recruitment for acolytes of to become aspirants for knights. So it's one of those things also where it just culturally you don't send your youth off to the orders as an Azael. So there just aren't any. There's no rules against it or anything. They just don't get an opportunity to go like, you know, over there. There could be one like you can make an Azael Astral Knight character for your like, you know, own character that you create for Eldara. It wouldn't be like there's no rules of canon against it. They're just you'd be the only one. Novalian and Asarian. So from Ashasari and Novalia, like on the world map. Here, brief interlude. Today's World Building Friday. I don't care. We'll take time for this shit. So on the loose world map, so the Knight Order is like somewhere in this area. Oops. The Astari come from sort of this area. The astral sage like valley is somewhere around here, and the Knights are somewhere in these mountains. So they pull mostly from Novalia. This is Novalia. The map is unfinished because my GPU is dead, and I can't draw maps right now with my current GPU. And there's $4,500 in between me and the next map. And then most of them come from Ashasari. So they mostly come from orders, the two big orders that sort of like live in these two areas. So you do get some people from the north coming down, some people from the south coming up, but most Astral Knights are from here. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Okay, sorry. It's an arcade flight sim game a la Ace Combat, except this game takes place nearly 600 years after the Ring of Fire in Yellowstone decided to blow up. Oh, cool. Yeah. As you'd imagine, society took a while to try and rebuild. I see. Never heard of that. And the Scared Sea is where parts of the North Central America used to be on the west end. I see. Okay. Poor maps. I know. Well, I mean, it's like paint. So I can't paint, to be honest. I can't paint, and I can't make maps on stream right now because my GPU is not keeping up. So unfortunately, the only GPU that, like the way that NVIDIA is making their new GPUs, the 70 and 80, the 60, 70, 80 series aren't good enough because NVIDIA has opted to use like TLDR, don't come after me if you know how this works, because I'm just trying to summarize. TLDR, they use AI acceleration to make lesser hardware look good. The problem, and that works for a lot of games, but the problem is that for like things like Photoshop, video rendering, 3D modeling, streaming, you can't use that AI acceleration. You have to use just raw horsepower. And the only cards that have an updated and sturdy amount of raw horsepower in the cards are the 90 series, unfortunately the most expensive ones. So if I want to do what I want to do, I need to upgrade to a 5090, but that's like $4,000. So I will make the upgrade hopefully before the end of the year so I can get back to doing painting and maps. I'm just buying the printer first because that's more important to me, because I want to make the cards and my prints, and I don't want to do a first edition set of cards without them being archival quality and grade. So yeah, as BS I expect from NVIDIA. Yeah, it's really frustrating because the 30 series of cards, which is what I have a 3080 Ti, was great. It was phenomenal. You know, you could pick your price point, get the luxury 90 series, the 80 series for performance enthusiasts, the 70 for your average gamer, the 60 for your, I don't know, fucking Warcraft players. I don't know, man. People that don't need a lot of power. They just need a GPU that doesn't drool on itself. But when they moved to the 40 series, they then changed it to have the AI acceleration support. So when you looked at the raw horsepower numbers of like a 4080, it wasn't like that much better than the 3080. And you're like, I'm not paying to upgrade that when the thing, like, maybe, sure, the game that I play might look better, but when you need the card to fucking perform and you need a lot of VRAM, the VRAM is also only like top loaded on the biggest cards. So again, if I want more than 20 gigabytes of VRAM, I need to get the 90 series. So what's nice is there's still an option with NVIDIA, so I don't have to move over to an AMD processor, which I definitely am considering anyway, because Intel is losing my business rapidly every year. But that's still too much of an upgrade to do everything and whatever and piece out and parse out. So right now I just want to get a new GPU, and then later on, maybe down the road when I decide to fully upgrade, I'll change to over to be an AMD user if Intel's still in their feelings about everything. So yeah, that's like an upgrade I need to make. But the printer is coming first, because if I'm gonna make this if I'm gonna do this trading card series and a new print and like make proper like prints for forever in a series for myself, if I'm going to take my art seriously, I need to take it seriously. And part of taking it seriously is doing it the right way. And although my prints are extremely high quality, the one nagging issue about them is that they're not giclée prints. And what that means basically to the average person, if you don't care about what a giclée versus regular print versus all this like fancy artwork is my prints, like most prints out there, will fade within 100 or so years. But when you buy a giclée print, it's archival. It's made with pigment inks instead of dye-based inks, so it's a lot more expensive, but it doesn't fade for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so that's important to me. Does it matter? Does anyone care? Will anyone buy my prints because they're giclée prints? Probably not. In fact, maybe less people will buy them because they'll be slightly more expensive. But I don't care, because if I'm going to take my art seriously, I'm going to do it the right way I want. So that's why the printer's happening right now, is so that I can do all the pre-orders for prints and stuff like that. And then later on, I want to have the GPU come in, because I also like owe a map commission to Alf, and Alf really wants to watch me do it on stream. And so I need a new GPU to do that. So, you know, that's there's like projects waiting for me, you know. If I use, like, I don't want to show you guys right now, but I could show you how my stream freezes. If I use a brush that's like too big, like this is fine. But if I use a brush with any sort of like properties to it, like an airbrush, oh, even that lagged a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Oh no. Oh God. Wait, am I good? Unintentionally, my stream just dropped a bunch of frames. See, even I can't even use like large brushes. Like, holy fuck, man. So that's the reason why I need, is because my stream's still chopping a little bit. I hope it's better now. I'm so sorry about that. I was intentionally trying to show you like a brush. Oh God, it's still chopping a bit. Hold on. Let me fix this. I can fix this right now. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do this. I need to restart Photoshop for this to fix. Okay. What a lame. God damn it. Like, that's exactly the problem. So it's a lot worse when I use a real brush that has any sort of like texture or properties to it. but you get the picture now, seeing my computer chunking. And that does it doesn't do that as badly when I'm not streaming, but streaming puts a very, very heavy load on a GPU. So yeah. All right, hold on, let me get my stuff back up here and we'll get into it. Want to have Narya on the side, I think, for now, while we do some just basic development, and then it's nice to have her up on the screen to reference sort of our existing. Even why is that chunking my computer? What the hell, man? Oh my god, maybe I need to make this GPU upgrade sooner rather than later. Holy. Okay, there she is. There she is. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start with the seal, the sigil, the brand. Let me just... Ella had given me a call real quick, and I just need to go do something real quick for her. Let's take me 2 seconds. Give me 1 second, then we'll get into it. We'll jump into the project today. All right, let's get to it. Are Azael mammals or do they lay eggs? Why does wait, what? Why does laying eggs make you not a mammal? What do you mean or? What is this or nonsense, Cass? Yeah, they're platypi. I don't know. I haven't really thought too deeply about Azael reproduction, to be honest. Hasn't been at the front of my mind. Early designs. Okay, so we are going to grab this and call it, we're going to call it the crest, and yeah, we're going to call it the crest design. So let's just yoink this over here real quick. And I'm not going to do any sort of redesigns on this thing because I really liked it. And we're not gonna overthink things that work. So I'm just going to update and we're going to do a proper version of this crest. And then jump into it. I kind of want to do things in color, but I think for all the early Eldara stuff that I do right now, it needs to be in this kind of sketch style to build some consistency, and also quantity is better than quality in this sense. Until everything is done, quantity beats out quality. At that point in time, I'll want to go back in and like spend more time on higher end illustrations and stuff and paintings, but for now, concept sketches are the best way to... Ooh. Why is this so... I'm gonna have to lower the resolution of this piece. Feels a little weird. There's a certain resolution... How big is this? Oh, that is big. You know what? No problem. We'll just shrink this a little bit. That'll feel better. I'd rather keep the entire file higher res. Okay, there we go. Fixed. Ooh. So mandalas are a big important part of a lot of cultures in Eldara. So we're going to be using them a lot. Not just the 6-pointed one that we use for the Astral Sages, but also they're going to be... The rings and mandalas are going to be something that we see across many a people. Name my color though. Nope. That's what I have right now. I need... There's one shade of this dark brown that I need to always reference. Always use the exact same shade. Otherwise, I'm going to build inconsistencies in the sketches. And for pieces like this... There we go. That's my chosen shade. Ooh, okay, we're that took a minute. We're gaming now. We're just gaming. And so I need to also build in the like stats for playing in Azael too. So I don't know still yet the exact way to build a 2024 compliant species, I guess they're called now, versus a 2012 compliant D&D race. And I know that everyone's basically made up their mind. They're upgrading to 2024, or they're either upgrading or they're playing Daggerheart, which is fair enough. Like it is in the back of my mind that I might have to at some point in time begin to sunset the D&D side of Eldara. And so I'll make stuff for 2024 compliancy because that's what people are playing right now. Eggerlight, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it, my friend. I'm honored. But I'm aware that it's like the remaining D&D players are playing 2024. They've upgraded. They've accepted it. But there's a lot of people, man, a lot of people out there that are playing different systems now. So I have to like keep both those things in the back of my brain as stuff that I'm gonna have to address and do something with at some point in time. Though I don't know how Daggerheart is right now for like homebrew and stuff like that. Drawsteel, I know that Matt Koval has said, like, he's basically said ad nauseum that he just wants people to make stuff for it. He wants the people to develop tools for it, to make content about it, to really form a community around it. I don't obviously, I'm almost positive I bet my life on it that Critical Role and Darrington are like the same way with Daggerheart, but I haven't seen them, like anybody from there, say that yet. So I don't know specifically. But I'd bet my, I'd bet my fortunes. I bet my old Digimon on it that you could do the same thing for Daggerheart, but I just don't know what their sort of rules are for it or whatever. What's up, Azalea? I think Daggerheart is very hands-off in terms of mechanics, at least what I saw. Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know like what the homebrew community is like right now around it, but it seems like they're like that's the way that the Darrington and Critical Role have always been about like fan art and community stuff. They love it. They want to encourage it. So I assume that they're going to be the same way about Daggerheart. Like I said, I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen them say anything about it specifically. I gotta like actually lay eyes on that, conversation before I'm gonna be comfortable doing anything for them for Daggerheart. But who knows? Daggerheart might not like Daggerheart or Drawsteel might not even survive. Like who knows what's gonna survive in the next 5 or so years of the TTRPG kind of like collapse and rebirth. There might not even be a TTRPG community in 5 years to build stuff for, and I might just be building Eldara for myself and for other projects. Obviously, I'll still build it for TTRPG stuff because that's the passion, but, D&D, Pathfinder, Drawsteel, Daggerheart, who knows what is going to survive the next, the next half decade or whatever. Has some issues with their license, specifically, or like, do you have any examples, or is it just general, like, too long to write about, go look it up, Evan, kind of thing, or is there something specific you know about? Really weird phase where there's most likely people making unofficial stuff for it, but if you wanted to see stuff using it, you'd have to use their OGL equivalent. Oh, it's not what people thought it was going to be. The license was, or Daggerheart in general? Wait, are they having some drama about this? There's no way. There's no way they screwed this up. There's no shot, right? Wizards OGL fiasco was enough to teach everyone the proper way of doing this, right? Or at least the pitfalls to avoid. I can't imagine that they ooh. That's not good, man. You're making me nervous. There's YouTube drama about it. They weren't as clear about it as expected. The ownership of rights. Oh, huh. Yeah, I know there's drama about them not using it for campaign 4. Which is interesting. I'm not mad that they aren't using Daggerheart for campaign 4. I'm just confused. Like, I would have bet that the Critical Role brand would be that they would have invested in it and thought that it was strong enough to overpower like the Dungeons and Dragons side of things. But I guess they didn't believe that. I guess they had a different idea. They thought that it wasn't necessarily strong enough to have it just be Daggerheart instead of D&D, which is interesting. But like they would know. I mean, they're the ones with the data, so I know there's like a bunch of butthurt people that are mad about it, but like there's this side of the critters that like is this like weird kind of like obsessive side, the kind of people that get like mad when characters like almost die or shit like that. The people like I saw this whole side of the critical. I saw the Critical Roles community fracture during campaign 2. I think it was when Molly Malk died, I believe it was. And then I saw it happen again really strong during campaign 3 when the party almost wiped to Otohan Thule. I saw this like really weird side of the critters like coming out on Twitter, just losing their minds, being so unbelievably butthurt and mad. And I saw fracturing because like I'm a fan of Critical Role. I don't consider myself a critter though. I don't consider myself in that group. Because there's like an identity and kind of a bit of a gate kept for who's allowed to kind of say that you're a critter. And if you don't know every single last little thing, and if you don't love every single project and you didn't watch every show, then are you even a fan kind of thing? But what I realize is there's a large contingency of Critical Role fans of critters that are like kind of upset or tired or exhausted of that group, kind of losing their mind over everything. And so I saw a bit of a break in the community where friends who were once allies telling the other side to calm the fuck down, chill out, and stop whining on Twitter. So I don't know which group is whining, but I got the impression, I could be wrong, that it was the kind of the whining group of Critical Role that are trying to be outed by the critters now, that were complaining about them not playing Daggerheart on stream. But to be fair, I don't know anybody that has that opinion, so I'd be curious to ask somebody who actually has a problem with that why they have a problem with it. But of course, I don't really know any diehard Critical Role fans. I know lots of Critical Role fans, but none like that are in that kind of category of being like obsessively just thinking about Critical Role all the time. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to talk to them about it and get the other side. Friend didn't want to use it and he's never played it. The D&D is the face of the TTRPG community. It's a safe bet. Yeah, more or less. Like if they thought that Daggerheart was a big enough brand that people they would keep their community with using their own game, they would have. I'll be transparent. I would. The second I think that the Eldara TTRPG will get me to the places that I want to be with Eldara, more like in a way that like I could do without like the second I feel like I can drop Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or Critical Role or Daggerheart or any of these other systems for the Eldara system I want to make eventually, I will drop all those things and only make it Eldara for the Eldara system. Unless people love it, and then I'll continue to do it, but I'll just do Eldara system like in addition, which is probably a little more likely what's going to happen. But yeah, absolutely. It's like, why wouldn't you invest in your own thing? You know, why would you continue to like build brand equity for something that you don't own? Like we use D&D as a brand, and in some cases as creators, and in other cases as a convenient tool. Like I don't use D&D as a brand. I use D&D as a tool. The fact that I use its branding is just kind of like a sub thought of it, like an afterthought. That's like kind of a nice little bonus, a little neat type thing. But I lose a lot of the brand equity that D&D generates by not like subscribing to a lot of the things that D&D does. And when people find out, like people might find my stream and be like, oh my god, I love D&D. I love everything about D&D. D&D is the best game ever. I'm like, yeah, I agree. Let's go. And then they'll hear me say something like D&D is a tool that I use in service of my own world building and not something that I world build for. And they're like, what? D&D isn't the end all be all for you? You aren't doing everything in the name of sacrificing your world at the altar of D&D? I'm like, no. I use D&D as a tool to build with, not as the end goal. Then they're like, oh my god, who is this guy? And they'll leave. And it's like, okay, sorry, man. So there's a lot of the D&D brand equity that I'm not benefiting from, but lots of creators do. And if you're a game developer, of course you do. So for adventure writing for Eldara, it's like if I make a TTRPG system for Eldara, who's going to learn it to play in the world? Like nobody. So if I want people to play Eldara, like I have to sort of like use the system that everybody plays TTRPGs with. And right now it's D&D. And so I think Critical Role probably did the same assessment, trying to figure out if their brand was strong enough that they could abandon D&D for their own thing. And I guess they decided not to. You know, that or Brennan legitimately just said, I just don't want to do something that's not D&D. Some creators a bit extra. Also, some of the fan base really tries to take ownership of stuff. I mean, with Critical Role made official dice bags, they had people going mad that they were making them homeless, as that was their job. Sure, yeah, I've seen similar, yeah. I've seen similar. I don't like. I don't want to get into specifics, but I have seen drama with Critical Role fan artists. It's one of the reasons why like I love Critical Role. It's great. It's awesome, and I'd love to do fan art for it, but I stayed away from that. One of the reasons why I never did fan art, like you guys might remember, some of you, I did a fan art stream where I started a piece of Jester and I never finished. I never returned to it. I never talked about it. I just sort of like just like it never came up again. No one even asked about, like maybe like one or two people were like, hey man, I can finish that piece of Jester, and I kind of was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I never did, because there was some weird champ shit that happened after that, and I was like, oh my god. Like, you want to talk about gatekeepy communities? Oh my god. The right to do like who has the right to make Critical Role fan art is like actually a thing that was brought up after. I was questioned as to whether or not I had the right to do Critical Role fan art. I was accused of bandwagoning, of just like utilizing it for my own gains, and then I'm not even like, it was a whole thing. There was Twitter DMs and whatever from somebody, and then another artist got involved that knew me and was like, it was like a whole fucking thing. And I was like, okay, I'm done with you fucking crazy weirdos. Like, I'm not doing this shit. It's not worth it. Now, I don't care anymore, and it's probably not even an issue because it's just like blown over. But like, I'm going to be doing fan art for season 4, campaign 4. I want to, and I'm going to. Fuck the haters. Not really haters, they're just weirdos. But yeah, when you talk about like some of the community being extra and people like having ownership and gatekeepy stuff, like, oh my god. Oh my god, you don't know the half of it, some of you guys. So you probably do, but some of you guys have no idea what kind of a absolute pit of fucking snakes and rats that you might stumble into if you do. Now, to be fair though, that's probably just to be completely fair and transparent, that's probably a very, very, not probably, guaranteed is a very small minority of the community, but it was enough to make, to like, when you draw the ire of a couple of people that you're like, this is not worth it. Fair enough, but it is not the norm. I'm sure if I had posted and finished that piece of Jester fan art, yeah, sure, somebody might have like been upset and whatever, and I would have been ostracized from some group of like Who Asked Nobody artists and whatever. But the majority of people had been like, oh, cool Jester art, man, and then like, you know, moved on with their lives like the rest of us. So I should have done it. I should have finished it. I didn't because, you know, whatever, man. Like I definitely, my take is always to just like de-aggro the ad or the mob. You know, like when you get like when you're running through Stranglethorn Vale and like some fucking little like kobold comes up, or like venture company goblin comes up and starts whacking you. You can fight it, but then it'll stay tethered to you for longer and you're stuck in combat with it. Or you can just keep running while it just hits you like 4 or 5 times, and then it'll detether and de-aggro. That's my strategy for almost anything on the internet. As soon as I aggro an extra mob or ads on a fight, I will just not even touch it, de-aggro them. The occasional, like, I grew up in the 80s and I'm so tough Gen Xer will, like, basically imply that I'm being a coward, and I don't care anymore. I don't care. Fuck them. You can call it cowardice. I call it preservation of my fucking peace. You know? It's like the other day, like YouTube chat occasionally gets really weird and unhinged, and I'll see people post stuff in my YouTube chat, comments that don't show in YouTube chat because it filters it out, but they'll still show in my version of YouTube chat that only I see. And so a model just quietly like ban them or whatever. But like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, what do? Do you engage with it? No. No, you just quietly like shadow ban someone and move on. It's like whenever I get a nasty or critical comment on any video, you don't engage and fight in the comments. You just ignore them, ban the commenter, or shadow ban them on YouTube. Like, I wonder how many comments I get from people who are shadow banned on YouTube that they think they're just like shit talking me every video, but they have no idea that no one can see their comment. Like, I always think that's kind of interesting, but you just de-aggro it. I don't want to deal with that shit. Fuck it, man. The extra element of the Critical Role community sucks is they are definitely the ones dragging it down, similar to how the Pathfinder 2e community are the ones being incredibly vocal. Yeah, I don't know too much about what's going on with Pathfinder 2e, but and now again, the reason I bring up the criticism for the Critical Role community is not because I'm trying to like shit on the Critical Role community as a whole. I'm trying to highlight the fact that that is not the Critical Role community. That is just some weirdo parts of it that make engaging with it kind of difficult sometimes. But I definitely know better now. Not to avoid doing a thing just because somebody has a problem with it. Like, what a dumb obvious statement, right? But it's not obvious, I think, when you're the one in the middle of it. I think popular enough will inevitably get some super weird people as opinions. It's really disheartening. Kind of, yeah, it is, but yeah, part of the sort of the methodology of just ignoring everything and just doing what you want anyway is, I think, important to remember here. So there is that too, I guess. Yeah, I can't wait for there to be a bunch of gatekeepy weirdos for Eldara. To be like, you're not a real Eldara fan because you don't know what Evan's favorite noodle is for pasta. So you're not a real Eldara fan. I can't wait for the gatekeepy Eldara. Like, it's gonna be awesome, bro. You can kill that shit, don't feed the trolls is one of the oldest rules of the internet. It is, right? Absolutely. And so people don't seem to like sometimes like differentiate that. Like when I said that a while ago, I drew a character that I hadn't drawn, you know, in a long time because I got a bunch of shit on Twitter for drawing a non-white character. And then I talked about why I didn't draw basically any black characters for Eldara for a long time. And it was because I caught heat from some artist that was saying basically you're not allowed to draw like you're stealing art views from whatever. It was a whole fucking thing, and everyone knows that person was being ridiculous and stupid. But I was like, yeah, it's pretty scary when you're a brand new artist starting out. And lots of people are like, oh, well, you can't, like, you got to tell them and stand up for yourself, whatever. But then people will say, like, in the comments, you're supposed to ignore the comments and the trolls, you know? And it's kind of like, but it's the same thing, you know? So, like, of course you're supposed to ignore the trolls and whatever, regardless if they're people on Twitter that are big and whatever, or if they're people in comments, you know, or on YouTube chat or fucking whatever, you know? Of course it's what you're supposed to do, but it's not always evident in the moment. Not always super obvious to everybody when they're facing it down for the first time. It certainly wasn't to me. So yeah, I'm really excited for campaign 4 because I am going to be doing, I want to do a fan art series of each one. So there's 2 fan art series I really want to do. Okay, the first fan art series, because I've been enjoying my VTuber fan art series, but I think I'm kind of at the end of the list. Like Stimpak and Fishy are kind of the last 2 VTubers that I want to do fan art for my VTuber fan art series. And I don't know if Fishy's going to get one because Fishy already got Runa, so it's kind of that thing, right? But after that, I want to do a fan art series for the Critical Role campaign 4, and I actually have this really dumb idea where I really want to do a fan art series of Epic the Musical, because I've always wanted to do like old classical kind of like mythological characters, you know, the Pantheon, Odysseus, and those kind of characters, the Iliad, whatever, and do that kind of like old school, you know, Marcus Aurelius like portraiture style pieces of all the old heroes. But also, I think that it'd be fun to do it from the lens of Epic the Musical, because like when Luke Holt and Casper Fox rated me, and I was like, I have no idea who these guys are, who Epic is. And I was like, oh shit, that's Zeus. You know, that was like kind of like, oh fuck. So I could probably like, so I want to start with a piece for Luke, because I think it'd be kind of fun to do Zeus for him, and then do the full kind of like Epic cast, but in like formal old Greek portraits, but with the kind of changes and like nuances that the kind of the updated version for Epic has. So, because they're not exactly like the Epic, the accepted fan art and animatics of the Epic cast is not classical in any way. It's not accurate, right? But so I kind of want to blend a little bit of that, you know, together. I think it'd be fun. And then, so yeah, so I want to do the Epic series, and then also want to do the Critical Role series. And I'm going to, when Campaign 4 comes out, I'm going to try and do a character portrait every single week until I'm done with the main party, which is going to be big, because apparently the main party is going to be huge this time around. They got like a whole bunch of extra people. So I know they said that they did that so they could have like different groups going off and doing different things and give people time off from filming and whatever, because they're all adults with lives and shit, and that makes sense. But to do the whole cast from the beginning would be a big undertaking, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. I want to anyway. That's the plan. So if you don't know the orb yet, yeah, that's the gatekeeping part, is the orb. That's right. What's your favorite noodle flavor, just in case? My favorite noodle shape. What is it? My favorite noodle shape for pasta. It's probably, maybe it's, I think it might be fettuccine. Yeah, maybe fettuccine. I had to think about that for a second. Out the orb is? Yeah, don't worry about it. It's a dumb meme, Alex. Don't worry about it. That shit is just a fucking thing. This is a stupid thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I think I know how to do the Critical Role fan art without having Critical Role fans appearing and mosh pitting you again. Don't put Critical Role anywhere in the title of the streams you do when you release it. Oh, I mean, like, I don't care if they're gonna, if like I think that a lot of the weirdos in the Critical Role community have kind of like just rage fitted themselves into a self implosion. I think anyway, but also I'm not gonna shy away from it this time around. Maybe it'd be a good idea for the streams not to put it in there, but when I post it online, I'm gonna obviously say that's Critical Role fan art. But yeah, maybe avoiding in the stream title would be a decent way of doing it. So, you know. Okay. All right. So this is looking more like what I wanted to look like. This is the updated version. The seal of the Azael, the imperial seal of the royal family, or whatever this shit is. This is gonna be their crest. I could do the crests all in like kind of a banner format, but I think I'm gonna leave them as just like individual seals for now. And if I want to banner them later, I can. But yeah, I gotta figure out what to do for 2024 edition, like bonuses and backgrounds, because you're in 2024 now. It is that your actual stats and abilities and bonuses and buffs comes from your background and not your race or species now. And your race and species, is your race and species in 2024 edition? Is there anything mechanical from it at all now, or is it all aesthetics, completely disconnected from background? Is that the way it works now? I think. Which makes sense in a lot of ways, but like for the Azael, it doesn't. These are the racial features. Oh, okay. So there are still some things that are linked to it, right? The stats from the background and a feat. Oh, I see. Okay. So, yeah. Got it. So, like, the orc stuff is still Smork. So, you can't be a human with the Smork features now. You can be a human with Smork stats, but... or whatever the background is. But your actual ability or whatever comes from... still, it's tied to that, right? This is a piece of in-world painting, drawn symbol. It's supposed to be an actual crafted ring, metal, stone, coral. It's gonna kind of look like a drawing of an actual seal. Ideally. Like an actual metal seal. But a sketch of it, obviously. As all of this stuff is supposed to be for the Eldara kind of early concept art pieces. So the implication is that it's gonna be kind of supposed to be looking like a 3D object, but ultimately, this is just a sketch rendition of it, so. This isn't butts, I know, Steve. Someone paid me a commission slot to draw things for Eldara, so now I need to do a complete breakdown of the Azael, my hot merfolk. So there's kind of butts in there, you know? There's a little butt there somewhere. Okay, buddy, we'll get some butts for you. How you doing, Steve? What's up, dog? What's going on, man? Good to see you, bro. Always a pleasure. There's a little bit, but not a lot of features for them. They removed the half races too, so no more half elves or half orcs. Oh, really? Okay. Huh. Interesting. Rips off Edgeworlds. Ah, shit. We lost them, boys. We lost them. Ah, damn it. Yeah, for real though, right? So it's supposed to be like an actual metal object. Like not all seals or emblems Atari will be physical items somewhere in the world, but this one is. This is an actual physical item. It is the sort of like ring of power that sits above the... It sits atop the kind of the Azael monarch's throne that they have in their kind of capital city, built into this like big cool ass coral structure or whatever, where the Azael sits there on their thrones. You know, the other little finny fins and their hair being all majestic in the water. So this is an actual physical item. So I don't know if that's what we wanted, but that's what we got. Long meeting, but at least it's productive? Oh shit, man. Was it a meeting about a meeting? That's what I always fear, is that you guys have to be subjected to meetings about meetings. Bro, I want a meeting. Get me in a meeting, bro. I'd be great in meetings. Azael. Kill this. And then we'll fill this in a little bit. Maybe do some fill layers. Ooh, I don't know. Let me try it without and we'll see if it looks bad. Will hopefully be decent. I gotta get Dashto to make a theme for the Azael in each one of the Eldarin races / species. Be smaller seals that guards and attendants would wear on their clothes. Probably, yeah. For the royal seal, like emblems, the same emblem. Sure, why not? Not all like of the like there are some people who are the collection of where you'll find every like elf or whatever is independent of their culture in some cases. But for some groups, like almost every Azael lives in the Azael kind of like capital, like, or in the Shattered Sea, like under the Azael kind of leadership and whatever. So their like own sort of identity is very much connected to their monarchy. It's different for a lot of different places in Aldara, but here in the Shadowed Sea, yeah, there's not an Azael that can't be associated with the Monarch. Meeting about a technical impossibility. Oh, great, you know? Not just sorting the best way to repair things. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. And let me get the team that's supposed to fix it got downsized. I chatted with a friend for a little while last night after D&D. There's always stories of the same tech industry bullshit from him every single time. It's always some bullshit to deal with, right? Never just a bunch of engineers being cool, doing cool projects. Are there seals that live in seal bubbles? Seals? I don't know. Is a seal a worthwhile creature to port into a fantastical imagination dragon game setting? You tell me. But I think we have our answer. Ooh, looks good, man. I like this. That's nice. That's nice. Make it a little bit darker and then we'll be done with this. Move on to the next piece here. We need to revisit it. We'll revisit it later, but as far as I'm concerned, when I finish this, it's what we're using. For most of the designs today, anyway.
Visitors, how exciting.
Yo, Reaper. Hello, friends. Welcome in. Happy Friday. Welcome in, guys. How y'all doing? How was stream? Good to see y'all. Yo, if you guys aren't following Reaper on Twitch, please go follow Reaper Miniatures. One of my personal favorite places to chill on Twitch. They do some pretty cool shit over there. It's a good time. And if you're new to my stream from Reaper, welcome. We're doing some concept art for a race/species that are basically the merfolk for my adventure that I'm writing. So someone paid me to spend the time. They bought a commission slot for me to do this work for my own setting, which is very flattering, very humbling. So we're gonna put our best into it. It's good to see you guys. Hope you enjoy yourself over there in Reaperland, as I always do. It's good to see you, though. I'm honored. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. So now our word mark. The word marks I'm going to treat a little bit weird differently. We're going to do something kind of strange. We're going to sketch them out, which is not going to seem intuitive, but you're going to have to trust me on this one. It's going to be a little messy, and it's supposed to be a little messy. So we're going to do this. We're going to use our sketch brush. It'll be a little janky, and it's supposed to be, but that's kind of like fits within the vibe that we're going for this. It's going to take a minute to sketch them out, but they'll make the difference. I tried this with something else, and I don't remember what it was, and it looked really cool at the end. And then we'll fill it in and hatch it in, and it'll be great. You know what? I bet I could use... no, I won't use symmetry for these ones. Better if it's all, like, hand sketched. We could save the time, but it'll be a less good idea, so... Sometimes you have to just do it all painstakingly by hand. It's the lesson I took from Blackwood Dice. Sometimes the best choice is just to painstakingly do it all by hand. As Ella has taught me. As I have learned from her. The master of doing things painstakingly by hand. But damn, the results look good, don't they? Which, by the way, she's had some very exciting developments in the last little while. She got offered her first big client to do a bunch of dice for them. And, for a big event that she's making a whole bunch of dice for. So that went through. They paid the deposit, and it's now an official project she's doing that she'll be able to talk about at some point in time soon here. It's for a local thing, though, so you wouldn't be able to grab any of them unless you were local Alberta. She's doing that. She got accepted into a store space, a retail space, which is actually really cool. So if you're ever in the Calgary area specifically, you'll be able to go get physical Blackwood dice. Can you believe that? In person. Wow. Okay, I'm really using my art skills here. I feel it. I feel like energized, you know, with the E. Like it's calling to me. There's just something very ego praising about drawing giant E's. Wait. I'm not supposed to say that out loud, my bad. And then I'll hatch them in and it'll look really cool. 3 down. 3 down. Okay, maybe I will for the big ones use symmetry for some of them. And then I'll alter it later. Oh yeah, I can do that. Never mind. What was I worried about, man? Here I am overthinking stuff. I love this typeface is A. It's got this like kind of curved piece to it. I haven't thought about like typography in a long time, so I forgot the term for this, the little bridge in the A. But it's not called a bridge. It's called something else. There's a word for it. It's a big fancy typographer's word. I once got told by a client, like a graphic design client, he said, "Man, you're like the Jimi Hendrix of design." And I was like, "What?" That's a flattering thing to say. He was like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Cause whenever I talk to you," because like he was a graphic designer, like used to be. He's like, "Whenever I talk to you, it's like you don't know what you're talking about, but when you do it really well. You just don't know the terminology for everything." And we're like, "Oh yeah." Just feel it out, man. I was never supposed to be a graphic designer. I was always supposed to be an artist, but I spent a lot of years doing branding and marketing for companies. And I hated it. I liked a lot of it. It was like some projects were really fun. Corporate presentations and investor whatever things and those kind of things killed me. But they were also weirdly simultaneously the easiest clients to work for. Hey, Reaper, how we do concept stuff sometime. Yeah. Yeah. I'll hire Evan too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks for adding me in there, Steve. Appreciate it. Thanks, bro. Glad I got Just slid in there at the end. Mm-hmm. Bro, that'd be a dream. I found pictures, by the way, of our Reaper wall. You know? I found them. Holy shit! Wait. Is that a first time chat? From Lack? Oh my god. Wait, hold on. I need to VIP you. Lack of, otherwise I'm never gonna see, alright, fuck yeah. Yep. What's up, Lack? Hello. Good to see you, dude. You guys didn't know. Lackava is a very old and dear friend of mine, an artist whom I look up to and respect quite a bit, and they are somebody I went to school with, actually. So for those of you who have seen Fish and Bacon harassing me in chat to draw her hot Batman, Fish and Bacon, Koi, and Lack and I all went to school together, and we were all in the same year. We were all in art school. That's dope, dude. I'm honored to see you in here, Lack. Welcome. It's good to see you, though. Bro, I was so mad that I forgot to at GameCon. I was gonna buy a specific print, and the only time the only time I came over on the last day because we were so busy was to grab that sticker for you to do do the sketch in the book or whatever. Or to sign the book, and I totally forgot to grab something, and I really wanted one in particular. I was really mad. So I gotta fix that, man. I've been thinking about that ever since. It's lived in my head rent free, and I'm butthurt. Too cute, and I gotta leave before I barf. Okay, dude. Yeah, all right. Sorry, Steve. My bad. Ah, jeez. Crap. Which one? Here, I'll show you. There's one that I want in particular. Where was it? It was the takoyaki, I think it was. Yeah, it was this one. I love this so much. I want to get one. I want to get a big one though. So maybe I'll just order it from your shop, actually. So there's a keychain I really wanted from Koi as well, and I forgot to get it from her. And so I just went to her maker's shop in Calgary and just bought it there. So maybe I'll just go straight to the shop, but I kind of want it signed by the artist specifically in person, you know, weird like that. But yeah, if you guys aren't following Lack, actually, we had some artists in chat, man. There you go. There's the channel. They stream later in the evening, typically, and it's always a good time. Sometimes you'll catch me and Koi in there talking some shit. Yeah, we're doing some manual lettering today because it's supposed to fit within the sketch aesthetic that I'm doing this concept for. We're doing a concept, like a concept brief for a playable race/species that somebody bought one of my commission slots for me to do, which is very nice and very cool of them. So the first of the official Eldara sponsorship projects, which is very cool. I'm very excited about. Why? God damn it. Hi, Dark.
I don't want it.
Thanks for reminding me that's an alert.
I hate it.
Yep.
I hate Evan.
You know what? I need to remove that because Minnie's a student of mine now. As of this week, Minnie Full is now my very first official art student that I've ever taken on. She and Alf are my first ever full formal mentees. So maybe I should keep that alert actually forever. Thanks for the 666 bits though. Jeez, Dark. How you doing, dog? What's up, man? You've just been waiting for the opportune moment. Thanks, Dark. I really appreciate the bits, bro. Yeah, Minnie. That's very cool. It is. I opened up it on my coffee for slots for people to sponsor a project. And I was very surprised that like basically immediately 5 slots were just yoinked. So I got to add and expand them. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited about that because I get to spend time then away from commissions, which I've been enjoying thoroughly doing commissions, but it's nice to get back to Eldara and do some of the world building stuff that I need to do. So we need to create like a character creation selection screen type thing, you know, when you're playing an MMO or whatever. You just switch to choose your class, choose your race, that kind of thing. So we got to do that type of piece. And it's all like all the art that I do for like concept development stuff for Eldara Lac is all in this kind of like sketch style. So I want to be consistent and have the lettering feel like it was also kind of written by hand, at least a little bit, a little more technically, but still with the sketchiness that one has. Okay. The Azael. There they are. So now I kind of want to do... This might be dumb, but I kind of want to... we're going to revisit this, I think, because...
Why?
What?
I don't want it. It's stupid.
Wow, thanks, Dark. Thanks for the bits, man.
Evan.
Thanks for reminding me once again that that's an alerted stream. Sometimes Minnie says she lurks in my chat occasionally. I just hope that she's here once in a while when that alert plays, just so she is reminded that she said those words. So, Thanks, Dark. Appreciate it, dog. It's very kind of you, man. At least you have symmetry tool. At least I have the symmetry tool, exactly. I don't know if I like it though, because it kind of made the A look a little flat, so we might mess around a little bit. We're gonna desymmetrize a couple things, but. Okay, we have our official now core thingy for our word mark, the Azael, our official brand for them, our seal. So we need what do we need? We need seal, we need crest and seal. Then we need make a list actually, so I don't forget, so I don't forgore. We're gonna call this layer notes because we're gonna name our layers exceptionally properly today. All right, since we're doing actual concept development. So we need our seal / crust. We need the actual like illustration. Then what do we need? So what kind of stuff should we have for like concept development stuff? Because we don't have all the time in the world to do a complete deep dive into every single whatever, just enough to fit on a page. So maybe I think Sabine threw the idea of hairstyles, and I kind of want to do that because the Azael
Why? I don't want it. It's stupid. I hate it. I hate Evan.
You know, it hurts a little less every time. That's what I'm gonna say out loud because it actually hurts a little more every time. Thanks, Dark. Appreciate it. Yeah, actually, wait. It kind of hurts a little more every time. Wait, what the fuck? How does that work? Thanks for 666 bits, man. That's a lot of bits, Dark. Calm down, bro. Jeez, man. I appreciate it. You don't need to win the Orbathon. What's I been writing? Thanks, Dark. I appreciate it. I don't deserve it, but I still appreciate it. That is a lot of bits, though, so thanks, man. Sketchiness one has, and you're drawing lines straighter than I ever will. Well, to be fair, though, Sabine, I am holding the shift button down for some of them. So, the bits add to the sub-goal? The bits do not add to the sub-goal. Yeah, the bits do not add to the Orbathon timer, which is up top right now. There you go, for the September Orbathon. Subs are discounted this month. Bits, unfortunately, are not. So, although they count in my heart, they don't count to Twitch's full thingy there, so... They multi-attack with glaive and tail? Why not, man? Why the fuck not? Okay, so sorry, hairstyles. So, wait, the Azael have... Not every, like... I'm not going to do like a Final Fantasy 14 selection screen where you have like hairstyles for every single one, but for the Azael in particular, they do have important different hairstyles So like the Azael and the Novalians are definitely going to have hairstyles that you can choose from or whatever as examples, because the Azael have these really cool, intricate, like metal chain work, like kind of like hair ornamentation from the back for women, and more of like a kind of like a wreath style chain for men typically. So you're gonna have the masculine, feminine hairstyles in there for them, and then other things like tails as well. So hairstyles, tails, what else? Clothing, I guess, and slash maybe just like we're just gonna label it as culture, as just general kind of like cultural whatever, like kind of patterns and things like that. And then also we're gonna do a very brief summary of their architecture by drawing, if we can, Ithra Athari. Ithra Athari, which is the main city. So seal / crest. Check. Done. Easy. Look at this, man. We're moving through, and it's only been 2.5 hours of me monologuing about shit nobody cares about. Mainly brainstorming and tossing out development ideas for you, but I was imagining different hairstyles and tail styles that could be unique to each bubbly city to add colorful regional flair. Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. There's also how do I do this? There was also an idea for the Azael that they'd have certain clothing styles that were based loosely. Oh, because Bizzo's character is going to be an Azael. I really still want to do the mod characters. Okay, I need to think about this, what to do about it. We'll start here. This is a good starting point. This is a lot for a project, you know, for this whole project. Because the illustration itself is going to be 2 large full figures, which is going to take me a long time. So all this other stuff is going to be kind of like I realize that to properly do development for this, it should probably be a big Eldar project instead of a small one. But I'm going to put the, I'm putting the work into it because it needs to be done, and I want to do it that way. So I'm going to treat it like a big project, even though I've labeled it as a small one. So, okay. Where do we go from here? Why don't we try doing some of our hairstyles, I think? We'll do maybe like 20 and pick the best 5 and then throw them into the book. So we'll do our feminine ones first and then base our sort of masculine model after that. So we're going to draw us, our head model. These are going to be from behind as well, because the front sort of like bangs front of the hair isn't as important as the back. We'll use this as a reference here. The Azael are really, really good jewelers. Very much like making ornate little gems and jewels and whatever. And how do they solder anything underwater? Oh boy, you should look and see. Your ears are a lot longer, right? Yeah. I gave them these kind of fin ears. Maybe it's a bad idea, but the fin ear might be a little reductive and a little merfolky, but I'm okay keeping it for now because I think it does sell the point still. Might be a little taboo, but you know what? Whatever. I don't care that much. It's lore monologues. Yeah, it was a lot of lore monologues, wasn't it? That was a whole thing. Okay. How do I do this? This is gonna be fun. So we're just gonna grab a bunch of our Oops. How far are we crossing this? 1.6. 1.6. 1.6. We'll do maybe 4x4. We'll do like 8 of each, I think, to begin. Maybe pick our favorite 5. They don't need to be too explorative or exploratory on this because I kind of know what we're doing. So I'm fine doing just 8 for now. Oh, wait, this needs to be a lot bigger. Hold up. Oh, what am I doing? Oof. Jeez. That could have been bad.
Curse the wardens and their
What the fuck? Sabine!
Project, you say? Probably still not enough, but it's a start.
I literally just said that I was gonna do the whole thing. Okay, listen. I just said that it was good. It was good. Why? I said it was okay. I learned. Fuck, man. What the fuck's the beat? Chill. Jeez, dude. Sabine's the person that commissioned this, by the way, in case you're confused. Sabine, chill. You don't have to do that on top of you. Already paid for the project to be done. It's not even it's Eldar. Okay. 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 Ah, fuck. Chill, man. Transfer to Ella for the shipping of my dice and the Taco Bell funds. Oh, okay, yeah. For sure. Thank you, Sabine. I don't know what to say, bro. Fuck, man. Oh god. Okay. Oh, okay. No. Wait. Hold on. I need to stay on point today. No, I can't be distracted. Whew, breathe. Fuck. Sabine, come on, bro. I don't deserve that. You don't gotta be doing that. God damn it. Okay, no, focus up. Okay. Okay. You fucking
the wardens and their mirrors.
What are we doing? I heard someone donated. Ooh, I get some taco.
What? Okay. Alright. You know what? Enough of this shit. Alright? Enough of this. Alright? Okay? Fucking calm down. Okay? Hands up. Hands up. Don't think I'll listen. You think I'm kidding? That's right. We're just gonna everybody calm down. All right? We're all just gonna chill. Dark. All right? Relax. Everybody's gonna relax. All of us, collectively. Jesus Christ, Dark. Holy shit. Dark, Sabine, can you both chill out, man? Oh my god. Holy fuck, dude. Oh god, okay. Okay, the Taco Bell. Okay, listen, I'm not buying Ella. You don't get to just I'm not buying Taco Bell for Ella.
Don't
just because
me with a good time, Daddy. And my smile spray me real good.
All right, fucking. All right, don't mess around. Okay, I will dust this entire chat. I will, and your computers are filthy. You know you haven't dusted in a long time. Your keyboard's nasty. Don't mess around, man. I'm not fucking around. Jesus, Dark Sabine. Chill, dude. Thank you for the 50. The 150. I can't believe I just said those words out loud. I can't believe I just said thank you for the 150. Thank you, Dark, for the 115 tip. Just straight tip. Thank you, Sabine, for the 100. I don't deserve that. There's no possible fathomable way that I can deserve that, but I will endeavor, okay, to do a good job on this project to be worthy of that. Holy shit, dude. Well, thank you very much. God damn it. You live in a desert, there's no chill, damn it. Alright, sorry, my bad. My bad. I didn't need to be exclusionary because of your weather situation. Okay, now I have to try and draw with a shaky hand. This isn't gonna work. Okay. I'm centered. I'm calm. I'm good. Okay. We're gonna just shit. Damn it! Wrong. Okay, there we go. We're just gonna now draw some cool Azael hair ornamentation. That's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be awesome. We're all gonna be calm. Not getting her Taco Bell, Azalea. No, stop it. No Taco Bell. She doesn't get Taco Bell. Okay, I'm not taking her. Do you know how far away the Taco Bell is? Do you know how far away it is? I have to drive Ella, like, bro, I gotta take her like into town and then across all the way on to the Taco Bell. It's so far away. It's like an hour. I have to drive 2 hours, an hour there, an hour back, just to get Ella Taco Bell. Okay. This is that I can't, like, bro. I can't. Okay. Anyway. Let's start with something pretty tame here. Okay. Oh, that's on the wrong layer. That's definitely the wrong layer. Okay. All right. Anyway, thanks for the bits, guys. I appreciate it. That's very, very kind of you. Oh, God. My heart. Okay. Okay, god damn it.
Taco Bell. All we are hearing are excuses and not results.
Listen, I can't break the promise. The Orbathon needs to reach rank 2 before I even buy Ella a single Taco Bell. Okay? If, like, my hands are tied here. Listen, I agreed to adhere to your demands for the Orbathon. So, what do you want me to do? It's out of my control. Okay, it's completely out of my control. So, you know, I'm sympathetic to the cause. I'm sure we'd all love to see a speedy resolution to this most troubling of fate. But yet here we are. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. And believe me, I would be the first person to try and break the rules for the sanctity of Ella Blackwood getting Taco Bell, but my hands are tied on this one. So thanks for the bets, appreciate it. Thank you, but yeah, man, there's nothing I can do, unfortunately. There's nothing I can do. Maybe next time. Okay. You know. Ooh, yeah, boy, I wish I could. God, it's tough, man. Oh wait, we're going to Edmonton in 2 weeks. Shit. There's Taco Bell there. Wait, did they have Taco Bell there? No, they have Chick-fil-A. I forgot. That's the one that Ella likes in Edmonton. God damn it. I get to tier 2. Well, the Orbathon is currently on tier 1.57. So, yeah. Every 100 subs this month, we'll see. You know, the orb will grow in power. I've agreed to allow you guys to grow the orb's influence. Again, this isn't my thing. I am allowing this to happen for the safety and security of our stream. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Poor Lack. What a first stream for you guys to ruin. For them to come and see. And just Reaper just pieced out. Steve is like, nah. All these people and streamers I know. The laws of the order must be obeyed. Evan, where they are harsh, or when they are harsh, the only workaround is to subscribe to Ella Blackwood Dice Patreon. That's true. That's true. You can subscribe to the Ella Blackwood Dice Patreon, but not if you're American, apparently. Holy shit, you guys get fucked, man. Those tariffs. Holy. Very supportive and generous community from what I'm seeing. Yeah, Lack, I have, for some reason, people have decided to watch me, and that's just incredible to begin with. Of those amazing humans that I have now come to call my community, my guild, my friends, and my family, a portion of them have decided to go above and beyond and help support my dreams of publishing my own Star Wars, like, you know, IP, D&D adventure, whatever. And for some reason, they still contribute to that. They support what I do. And a streamer my size has no right streaming as seriously as I do, or building a project that I'm building. But I do it entirely by the grace and kindness of people who want to see it happen and support me for whatever reason. I can't envision why, but they choose to. And all I can do is my absolute best to be worthy of the support one day. So, what's up, Salesian? Good to see you, bro. I'm not sure if I've been avoiding YouTube chat and you were here like 20 minutes ago. I'm so sorry if that was the case, Salesian. I don't have timestamps on my YouTube chat, so I am terribly sorry if I missed you. My bad. I might have been having a minor panic attack the whole time, so. Next Friday is when I get the space. You move into your makerspace next Friday, the same weekend as the expo. Do they know that's a terrible idea? Do you know that's a terrible idea? Are we all aware this is, because I'm aware this is a terrible idea. Huh. This is YouTube dual stream. Yeah, I multi-stream to YouTube as well, Lax, so that it saves my VODs. Because I don't know if you upload your VODs to YouTube, but I used to do that. I used to manually upload a VOD to YouTube. Now what I do is I just like stream to YouTube, and it automatically will then like create a VOD out of my stream for YouTube, which people will watch my VODs on YouTube for some reason, but on Twitch, you know, I don't know why anybody watches a VOD. Fucking weirdos. I love you guys. But also then YouTube's just also a viewing option. It's intended. I don't really like, you know, I don't know, advertise the YouTube stream or anything like that. I like to keep mostly everybody kind of in one place on Twitch where I get the chat and everything like that. But there are a couple people who are my YouTube friends now that I get to see there. They use it. So that's cool, man. That's cool. I just don't have the YouTube chat on screen or whatever. Because one, I don't really know how to do that properly yet. And I'll figure it out at some point in time. A lot of my VODs just die in the ether. Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that too. The earliest clips from my very earliest stream are all just that, clips. They're not VODs. The earliest VOD I have is from my 1-year stream anniversary. But that was like, I have a hard time watching it. Because that was, let's see, do I have my, what's the oldest? Is it my 1-year stream anniversary? YouTube Studio, let's find out. Is this my oldest stream? Content, videos. Yeah, my oldest video, it's not even public, but my oldest video that I had on YouTube was my 1-year sub anniversary, or 1-year Twitch anniversary. I have a hard time watching it because I was literally 105 pounds heavier than I am now. And I have a hard time watching myself at this portion and time. So, oh God. Oh man, look at that fucking guy right there. Oh boy, we've had improvements, haven't we? So, yeah, that's why I don't really have any of my oldest VODs available. This is the oldest one, but it's probably a good idea to keep them and save them and whatnot. So, I don't know. Good for record keeping and cataloging and all that shit, or whatever. Whatever, man. All right, hairstyles. Let's get after it. I'm screwed. I know it's fine. Yeah, you're gonna have to kind of burn to get, because it's gonna be. Oh God, what are we gonna do, Ella? Oh shit. Yeah, hold on. What are we gonna do about that? A makerspace and a. Ooh, simultaneously. We'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll be fine, Ella. I didn't say anything about the makerspace, but we'll make a big deal about it when it actually happens. Wait for you to move into it before we make any of a thing around it. So I want to give the Azael these like weird, like kind of like spiral braids. Don't worry about it. It's gonna look cool. I don't want to give them like traditional sort of braids. I want to give them like a weird kind of. I know how to do it. I could demonstrate. Ella, bring me your hair. But it's gonna look cool when we drew the art for it. So, you nice to your past self? Never. That guy betrayed me. Past me sat around playing World of Warcraft all day and was sad. That guy almost took everything I ever wanted from me. That guy sat around playing video games all day instead of doing important shit. That guy can get bent as far as I'm concerned. That guy also decided to start streaming. So, can't be too mad. You know? Pascal was going through it. He certainly was. It wasn't an excuse to play as much World of Warcraft as he did, though. He needed to get the fuck up and do something, right? I'm being too stiff with these. I need to be a lot looser. These are just concepts. What am I doing? Why am I trying to render this out a little bit? Concepts, texture, that's all we're doing. Kind of floaty too. Like a lot of the Azael hairstyles are going to be intended to be viewed in the like kind of effect of water. So they're gonna have like different strands and stuff and whatever. It's gonna be a whole thing. Don't worry about it. It'll look cool. Trust. Trust until we realize that I don't know what I'm doing. And then skepticism for the rest of my career. Yes, good. Okay, cool. I want to do these like cool like bubble hairstyles too, so. Okay. Done. On to the next. Do a wrap around here. I think a lot of them are going to have like similar to this. Like if they have these like tiaras things, like she's a royal guard. That's why she has that. But I think a lot of them are going to in some way or another have their hair pulled away from their face. Because if you don't have your hair tied up in some way and you're just getting everywhere in your face and shit when you're underwater, that's not good. We've all been there, man. We've all grown our hair out to a couple of feet long and then went scuba diving off of the Great Barrier Reef, only to have our hair being in our face consistently for the entire time we were on our expedition, right? Right? Yeah, that's what I thought. 5 months versus 5 years? Jeez, you guys have been here for a long time. 5 years, Samurai. Holy shit, dude. Yeah, dude, next April will be my 6-year Twitch anniversary, won't it? Oh my god. I think Ella is coming up on her 6th year because technically my first stream, the first time I ever like did anything stream related was in November of the year before I started streaming. I don't consider it my stream anniversary, but that's when Ella and Dashto and I think Genova would have followed my stream. So they have subs that are aligned with my 5-year, but the streams or the actual subs or follow versus subs are different. All right, spiral braid. This is how loose I need to be for these. I can make them fancier later on, but right now, I wonder if I should be recording this. I don't know, whatever. Screw it. I don't need to make a video of this. Oh, but I really should though. Fuck. Do I have hard drive space for this shit? Make it really easy to support you with how dedicated you are and how neat your art is. Oh man, I appreciate that, Legion. It means the world. It means the world. I still can't possibly comprehend and fathom it sometimes, so I hope we understand that. Yeah, I should be recording this. God damn it. Okay. Let's center it in there. Right. Boom. Oh, wait. Hit the button. It didn't do the thing. There you go. There we go. You know, it's been that long, but my count of sketches, or amount of sketches and sketch cards are getting pretty big. Yeah, you got the vault down there. You and Cobalt, I think, maybe own the most amount of my and I'm doing less and less hand sketch work as the days go on, so I just have a series of relics of the forgotten ages of Blair art. God, I can't believe it's taking me 5 years before I actually publish my first adventure. Oh man. Took way too long, dude. But I want to do it right, you know? I look at the Realms of Eldara as like a lifelong project for me. So I don't want to rush anything, you know? I needn't rush anything either. Okay. Your little cool bubble hairstyles. We'll add our little earsies in there. Okay, so another one done. Do a couple more of these and then move on to our male hairstyles. So I'm gonna move this here. Ooh. How did my stream get muted?
Your mic is off less than 3.
The fuck? That wasn't muted on my stream deck. That was muted on my actual stream. I never hit. All right. Well, thanks for letting me know. Weird. That was like a OBS mute. I must have pressed a shortcut to mute it. I don't know what the shortcut is to mute from like through OBS. I have my stream deck mute button that I hit when I'm like coughing and stuff. But that's weird. Anyway, I was talking about how they'd wear like cabochon cut softer gems and things like that for their styles as opposed to like hard cut gems and whatnot. Okay. We need to be a little less sketchy with like the ears and stuff, I think. Also do some like gems and jewels and whatnot. I want the Azael to be fairly ornate. They like that shit. They like being ornate and fancy. Piercings and jewels and... Let's just fix this one real quick so I have the ears on this model as well. And same over here. Alright, sick. I really like these ones. The progression of jewels is like really nice, I think. Yeah, what the hell, man? Weird. Weird. I didn't even think there was an OBS mute shortcut. Whatever it is, man, I found it. That's exciting. Alright. These are kind of cool, man. Okay. Okay. Next. We do for our we had like let's see. I wonder if we can introduce some other materials. Like I don't know. Besides metal and coral and stuff, like how ornate and crazy do we want to go? We could do a couple that are like ridiculous. We could do a couple that are silly. Is this on the recording? It is. Okay, good. Really push it, you know? Why not, right? Give them a crazy silhouette. Some Padme Amidala type shit. Ah, fuck. Bro, I haven't been stretching. Oh my god. I had my physio on Monday. So hopefully I'll have some answers, you know? Man, it feels better every single day since the injection, but bro, that I did not take well to that. That was some not good shit. Not doing that again. What's the rarest hairstyle? I don't know. We'll find out when we do enough of them to see what we actually like, though. Or if they actually use actual growing things or living things to their hair decoration. I mean, that's that to me feels very like pre-existing merfolk kind of idea. And like there could be some sort of subset of that, like kind of the druid craft, but I really want a main theme of the Azael is going to be jewels, right? And jewelry. So you think about everything's going to be very like dainty and ornate and perfectly crafted. Their cities are going to be made to look like lanterns and jewels hanging, and I want them to be really kind of more mystical like that. And the inclusion of like sort of more natural materials, natural shapes, natural corals and rocks and shells and whatever. I feel like that's done a lot for merfolk, and it also doesn't really support the idea that I want for them to be considered to be like very sort of ornate. And maybe I'll figure out a way to like weave some of that kind of stuff in there, because yeah, I mean, you think about it, they have things like shells and all sorts of stuff around them that they would be able to make use of, shells and corals and whatnot. It's their material in the environment. But I don't know, it feels kind of like there's too much like randomness in the organic materials, that I want them to be a little more controlled, masters of their craft type thing. So as far as their ornamentation goes, I'm kind of really motivated to continue with that's why I'm using very intentional materials and mostly like metal and jewelry and chains, because it helps communicate a certain vibe. There's an intentionality and a mastery of finery. Like if anyone were to craft rings of power or some shit in Teleria, it'd be the Azael. Like that kind of is represented and referenced in their like this seal, this like physical, where is it? This physical seal that we have here. That's like this actual piece of metal that has these like four, and there's kind of like a kelp design in here. So we could include some of that type of stuff in with some of the jewelry, but it's a bit small for like gemstones and whatnot. Kind of like you'd have like kind of the laurels or whatever. They would use kelp because it's just like their material of choice for leaves, I guess you could say. So we can include some of that, but really I don't want to just like go through the, shells in hair and that kind of thing. Golden ratio and nautilus shell style construction. There can be some of that actually, yeah. I mean, it all has to be incredibly intentional. Right? They are a culture of finery. And there's something mystical about that, I think like John Howe and Alan Lee did a really good job of that with some of their illustrations for like elves of Lothlorien or Rivendell or whatever. You make, I think you really make a big statement about mysticism and power and whatever of a people when you show that they can like make their buildings and their clothing and their appearance and everything very beautiful and ornate. And I think that speaks volumes to like who they are. You know what I mean? Azael paladins, yeah, sure. They're paladins, why not? They're rarer. Like Azael don't really do, like they're not really combatants. They have like a bit of a culture of an isolationist kind of policy, not complete isolationism, but they are maybe more pacifistic kind of vibe. So yeah, they have like kind of a warrior class, but you're not going to find a ton of combatants. And jousters, yeah, maybe. I'm rethinking the existence of jousting altogether. In the Shattered Sea, anyway. Seems too dangerous. Jousting in the sky over the abyss? Ooh, I don't know about that, man. I'm gonna lose people to this. as many a knight. Or whoever wants to joust, I don't know. Not exclusive to our knight class, I guess. Yeah, so this is just a cosplay challenge that I'm issuing. Designing the Azael to have the most impractical cosplay wigs of any of the Eldarans. Of any and all of them, the Azael are the most impractical and impossible to do, so... that's what I'm doing. Azael with the Astral Steel Trident? I don't know, I don't, I don't know what the basis off of tridents is for the association with the sea. Like, I'll never use an old fantasy idea just for the sake of it, and so I'd have to figure out like why a trident communicates a certain idea, or if they were just symbols associated with certain like gods of the ocean, like Poseidon or something, and that's why people give like Merfolk's tridents and shit, and Aquaman trident. But I want to stay away from a lot of those just kind of like self-referential taboos for the sake of it. So currently the Azael don't even use tridents. That's like not an efficient weapon for them. So I have to do some research on that. Poseidon did? Is that the reason why everyone associates it then? Yeah, I mean that's cool. That makes sense. It's not a good enough reason for me to reference it though, unfortunately. Be the reason why it's sort of accepted into fantasy, but challenging a lot of the fantasy norms is a very difficult process that people don't often understand how to do it properly, I don't think. I spent so much time trying to figure out how to do it that I like, before I'm like learning how to do it properly, I learned what it looked like when it wasn't done properly. And then I'm gonna struggle through and continue to attempt it over and over again. Other than Fibonacci and Golden Ratio, what are other famous sequences or ratios that are great in nature art? I could have sworn there were some cool things I read about recently, but I've forgotten. Well, like the Golden Ratio is like a big one, you know, the Golden Ratio is like it is the one that persists between art, science, and religion. It's one of those like, it's like the divine numbers and stuff like that. There's certain symmetries that are considered in art to be like important, like patterns, tessellations, things like the flowers. What is it? The Flower of Life, I think is called. That mandala. Yeah. So like this. Flowers of Life. Ooh, there we go. There's lots of like sort of like kind of geometry and stuff beyond just references and representations of Fibonacci and the Golden Ratio, which extends into the Matthew principle and then, you know, whatever. But symmetries and things like that are very interesting. And there's a lot of really profound mysticism attached to them because they're patterns that repeat so often. But that a lot of that stuff is stuff that I reference in the Eldari runes specifically. So I'm decently familiar with a lot of it. But it's one of those things, I forget what the name of the phenomenon is, like it might be the Dunning-Kruger effect or whatever. The more you learn about it, the more you realize you have no fucking clue. And when somebody thinks that they know like enough about it to speak with it authoritatively, that's an indication they don't know anything about it. There's certain things like that. There's like certain things that I won't start drama over. I won't. But when somebody brings up something and they start speaking about it authoritatively, I know this person's full of shit. I'm like, yeah, crazy. Anyway. People do that occasionally in stream. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's cool. Anyway. That happens a lot in art too, I think. You know, whenever an artist, I think, talks about art with a lot of authority unless they can back it up, I am very skeptical. There's like a survivorship bias that turns into like a failureship bias that comes to listening to artists that aren't that accomplished with like art advice. Same thing happens with streamers, but it's less applicable because the advice on streaming is more niche to a very few amount of people. But the art thing it happens all the time. So I try very hard not to speak about like specifics with authority, as opposed to like I'll talk about like techniques and the classical fundamentals authoritatively because I think they're true and proven. But specifically
bias.
is no.
Is that what happens when your MLP fanship ends up not being the right ponies?
Yep. Are you still like are you recovering from that? Are you good still, or is that still bothering you? You know, that's a bit personal. I don't want to ask on stream. Yeah, thanks 100 bits, man. Appreciate it. Lances and spears would be quick in combat. People use smaller tridents when spear fishing. Yeah, I guess that's part of the thing with the trident is that it's also easy to skewer something when penetrating the hide of a beast is not the issue. Like you use a spear for, you want to have like a larger surface area to like kind of shotgun a fish. That makes sense to why that would be useful there too. Lightning glass, yeah. Wonder if you can shape lightning glass. Speaking of stabby weapons, Azael who have longer arms might evolve as the best fighters. Maybe. Yeah, you're right. They recover from my OC Raindrop Stardew not ending up with whatever the princess's name was. Damn it, man. Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. My Tumblr account, never performed like I wanted it to either, Aduria, so we'll both have to just deal with it, I guess. Yep. That's too bad. Is this still on the recording? It is. Okay, good. Oh well. One thing I'm going to reference to the Azael heavily from the Gungan stuff that Doug Chang designed is the warmth that they have in their lights. Having a very, very warm lighting, as opposed to a lot of times people think of like very cool lighting for underwater stuff. They kind of get-ish, but I think we're going to reference the very warm style. That's cool. Now we're getting a little crazy with these, all right? Now we're getting a little much. We're going a little extra on these. And I don't mind it at all. Do a couple more of these and then just move into our male hairstyles. See if we can do something equally cool. Zoom in on that. Cool. Are throwing fish a thing? What the fuck's a throwing fish? Wait, what? Trained piranha? Oh, there is some crazy fish, man. You guys are thinking way too in the box. Yo, we're gonna develop fish and like wildlife for the Shattered Sea that you can't even imagine right now. Like, if you want to talk about good creature design, like I think Avatar is probably maybe one of the best examples of like modern creature design. And it really bothers me, because to be honest, I don't know why this is one of those things that fantasy concept artists have a real hard time with, being so close-minded. But when you get sci-fi creature designers, they're willing to do like weird shit. The fantasy ones are like, they're like, oh, we're gonna take a bear but give him wings. We're gonna have a were dog. We're gonna have a spider pig. Like, it's so boring and like kind of lame, right? But there's no reason why you can't have interesting creature design without like in a fantasy setting, right? Like, this stuff is cool, man. This like weird little like kind of fucking bug insect reptile in the shape of a mammal with these like antennas and stuff, and like this feather plumage that looks like it's made out of scales or whatever. Oh yeah, dude. Like, when I move into a lot of the creature design for Eldar, I'm gonna heavily reference science fiction artists as opposed to fantasy artists, because the fantasy artists, and I mean this with love and all the love I can, they need to get their heads not out of their own asses, but the asses of fantasy fans. Like the problem with the fantasy genre that I always sort of address is one that a lot of artists share the same like criticisms with me. They're like, oh god, doing fantasy art for like for creatures and stuff is so boring. You just have to do like, oh, it's a dog but it has horns. Oh, it's a chameleon that is furry or whatever, you know? Like, it's just like manticore stuff, griffins, whatever. We're stuck in the mythology. We're just firmly stuck in the mythology. And that's like the entirety of what I think is a big problem with fantasy in general as a genre. Is that it's why I say fantasy is too self-referential, because it is. But something happens as soon as you go to sci-fi. Like, even you know like the good example for like non-creature design is Mass Effect Aliens. There's no reason why we couldn't have cool like why don't we do stuff like this for fantasy? Mass Effect or Star Wars Aliens, they could easily be new fantasy races and species. There's like no good reason why there's such a limitation. Some of them do feel a little like there is a science fiction tinge sometimes to certain ones, like these weird guys that are just like man-o-wars. But in so much of it, like, there's no reason why you can't have like, I don't know, like a Chagrian or a Togruta or something. And when you see like Star Wars does it really well, because when you see some shit like this, like the Chancellor, fuck, I forgot this guy's name, the Chancellor's assistant or whatever in Star Wars, this Chagrian guy, or like Darth Weirdlock or whatever, he's wearing robes and has a fucking staff. There's no reason why this couldn't be his fantasy character. But we're just like, the only way you design a proper fantasy race is you're like, oh, give him an animal head and make him the scaly. This is like boring, right? Oh, give him cat ears. You know? Reminds me how most of our out-of-place animals in Avatar Last Airbender was a bear, just a regular bear. Yeah, they do a fun job of just like smashing two creatures that don't exist together. Yeah, that's funny. Altamoros made me interested, but the art is obviously only indication, and maybe even the art doesn't hit the professional level. What is Altamoros, Samurai? Oh no, I activated something in used to be. Alright, good. Good. Yep, neuron activated. It's funny because Mass Effect was also limited by making all their species bipedal human, but these creatures' choices are they're fun. Yeah, so I think that there is a usefulness in making most of your aliens sort of like bipedal, like humanoid. The advantage in making your aliens humanoid is that they're more relatable, I think. And although I think it's really great to have your like completely non-relatable, non-bipedal, non-humanoid aliens, it's like I want somewhere in between. Like, I agree that maybe if everything was like a tentacle monster, that wouldn't be relatable. You wouldn't know how to talk to it. But even, you know, it's a good example. Even in fantasy, like Final Fantasy X. You have like weird, like not just the Ronso, but like you have like kind of like weird little like bipedal humanoid. Like, where's the guys that talk with the sh slur thingy. These guys, these like little frog dudes, or these little bird dudes, or whatever. Like they're referencing animals, sure, but there's a sense of like they're relatable, but like, and obviously you also have just like, you know, bunny people, which is like, you know, people like it and it's useful, but it's also, if that's all you have, it's kind of boring. It's like the thing that I'm thinking about right now, and I don't know if this is a fully formed idea. Hi Ashley, what's up, bro? Is you either go all the way or you pull way back. You either have a Star Wars Aliens level of cast and you have everything imaginable under the sun, or you have like the Trinity. Like the intentionality behind the Trinity of humans, elves, and dwarves in Lord of the Rings was as I'm progressing in my adult reading of the Silmarillion most recently, I'm realizing Tolkien made a lot of these choices intentionally. He even, in the first letter, he even says something about how he's like mad about Arthurian legend. And how like lame it is and like overly flamboyant and stuff the Fae is, and I wish I could dedicate simply to England, my country. I should possess tone and quality that I desire, somewhat cool to be clear. Where is it? Hold on. I think it's actually right here. I think I found it. Hold up. Glove up, boys. We're handling paper. He says something very interesting in here that I think is worth noting. For the more adult mind, this might not be it. Adult mind of a land long now steeped in poetry, I would draw some of the great tales in fullness and leave my many only placed in the scheme and sketch. The cycle should be linked to a majestic whole and yet leave scope for other minds, hands wielding paint and music and drama. Absurd. Where is the part about Arthurian legend? I dislike allegory, the conscious and intentional allegory, yet any attempt to explain the purpose of myth or fairy tale must use allegorical language. He talks about magic as a machine. There's a thing in here where he talks about basically the problem with like Arthurian legend being too... Is this it? But the elves are there in my tales to demonstrate the difference. Their magic is art, delivered from many of its human limitations. Delivered? More effortless, more quick, and more complete. Product and vision is unflawed correspondence. And its object is art, not power, subcreation, or domination, and tyrannous reforming of creation. The elves are immortal. He's talking about the elves there. Shoot, there's a part where he talks about... Oh, there was Greek, and I think this is it. There was Greek and Celtic and Romance and Germanic, Scandinavian, Finnish, but nothing English, save impoverished chapbook stuff. Of course there was and is all the Arthurian world, but powerful as it is imperfectly naturalized, associated with soil of Britain, but not with the English, and does not replace what I have felt to be missing. Okay, here it is. For one thing, its fairy is too lavish and fantastical, incoherent and repetitive. For another and more important thing, it is involved in and explicitly contains the Christian religion. That's interesting he says that.
Oh, heavenly streamer, our degenerate guy.
What's up,
Blessed be
Guapo?
your Cheeto-encrusted hand that clutches the mouse with holy. Your Wi-Fi never falter.
Yes.
Your frames never drop.
Yep.
And your mods smite the trolls in us from skill issues, as we forgive those who
Holy
only
shit,
on
man.
They do not thine
He's
is
going
the
for
pop,
it.
The hype and the scuffed mic forever and ever.
GG. Yeah, we gotta end it with GG. Thanks for the sub, Guapo. Thanks 53 months, man. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It looks like, what does he mean when he said that? For one thing, its fairy is too lavish and fantastical. I think when he says fairy, he's not talking about a specific fairy, like a specific person. He's talking about like the fae, more or less. So you can read it as, for one thing, its fae is too lavish and fantastical, incoherent and repetitive. What an unbelievably real thing to say about modern fantasy, and he was saying that about ancient fantasy. God. I have to just decode this. Because yeah, it's the kind of thing where the simplicity of having your trinity of like what's like, there's intentionality in the addition of different peoples. Like, why not just have a human only fantasy? And if the intention is aesthetic in general, then it's lacking of substance. It becomes too flamboyant, repetitive, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. There's something in there. It was an internal project, had millions of views with a deep future Earth and looking down strange evolution things. Oh, cool. Okay, I'll check that out. That sounds rad. I said this while playing through 10. Its world building is so peak for D&D setting. Yeah, no, I agree. Final Fantasy 10 has like, I want an art book from Final Fantasy 10 that was only made in Japan, and it's not even really an art book. It's the visual works, so it doesn't have a lot of the concept stuff in it. But I really want that art book, you know. So the point of that, yeah, like Guapo said, he's so into human only fantasies. I think that there has to be a relatability from your fantasy like races or science fiction aliens, and so you can have, and I think it's important to have, like Lack mentioned, a great opportunity to have like especially for science fiction, something like non-bipedal, non-humanoid, even non-carbon based life, non-hydrogen something focus, something whatever life, blah blah blah. But when it comes to fantasy, that's when it's a little bit harder to do, just a smidge. But still, the limitation, I think, is, although there is a gateway you can cross maybe into the science fiction realm, I think we have like miles we can run with fantasy before we even risk getting close to that gateway. You know, maybe that's like a stupid thing to say, but that's like my intuition or whatever is somewhere in the realm of that. I don't know, man. All right. Wrist is starting to kind of kill me, so I'm gonna leave it there. But hey, man, thanks for chilling today, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you had a good time this week with streams back. I think we will jump into more world building next week, as well as finishing some projects and getting some things done. Right? Yeah, you're right about that, Salesian. You're right about that. Yeah, man. Cool. Well, I will see you guys next week then. Are there announcements? Okay, no, I'm live all next week. It is the week after that Edmonton Expo is, so I'll be around, man. That's right. I'll be around. Shit, I was trying to remember. Ella's got one thing this week at market, and then a weekend in between, and then Edmonton Expo. Right. Cool. So, print store. I still need to figure out the pre-orders for the new prints. The printer has been ordered-ish, so I will be doing pre-orders for larger prints for the new print series, as well as some other things like some bookmarks and that cool stuff that I've been making that's been really rad for conventions. I'm going to add to the print store, as well as the trading cards. The only issue is I don't know what it's going to be like to send things to America, because right now it's up in the air. That's up in the air. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to, for Americans, just charge the tariff that your government wants to put on stuff. And it sucks. And it's going to be like 35% extra in shipping. So instead of shipping something for $20, it's going to be like $50. And if that's like the value of the, like, dude, it's going to suck. And I'm sorry. And I wish I could do something. Actually, I'm not sorry. Fuck it. I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. I'm not taking ownership of this. So I'll be putting all that stuff up for the Canadians and Europeans out there that want to get stuff in the print store, which is fine. But, I don't know. I kind of wanted to wait and make sure I could try and figure out how to do it for the Americans as well, but I feel really bad that it's gonna don't know, man. I don't know. I would, if it was a small enough tariff, I would just eat it myself. I just eat the costs. If it was like 10%, I'd happily do that and just, you know, whatever. It's the cost of doing business. But 35%, I just can't do it. You know, that's like the entire profit margin for a lot of things, which sucks. So either way, it should be exciting. So hopefully I'll have something up on Monday or for Monday. Thank you again, Sabine, for commissioning this project for Eldara. We'll finish it off next week. Hopefully make you proud. But until next time, my friends, have a great fucking weekend. Go and do some fun stuff. Go have a blast. And until next time, farewell.